The Kasai procedure is the only treatment for this pediatric condition.
What is biliary atresia?
That is, we'll grant the points. Okay, a few minutes break while we assemble for Final Jeopardy. So the final scores are Team 1 at 400, Team 2 minus 400, Team 3 3,900, Team 4 minus 600, Team 5 4,900. So Team 1, Team 3, Team 5 get to wage your points. So did you all get a piece of paper? So here we are.
Team 1, Team 3, and Team 5. No, final. Both your final.
You cannot wait if you have details. So you want to know your total points?
That's fine.
Now you want to know the total points.
Yes.
I told you, right?
Team 1, 400. Team 3, 3,900. Team 5, 4,900. So since Team 2 is minus 400, Team 4 is minus 600, you do not qualify. But Team 1, Team 3, Team 5. Is that okay, or shall I repeat again? Team 1, 400. Team 3, 3,900. Team 5, 4,900. So you may wage up to the maximum of your points or any amount of points you would like to. If you get the right answer, you will get those points added to your total. If you get an incorrect answer, those points will be minused or deducted. Any questions? So we will show you the prompt. Once the prompt appears, the timer will start for 30 seconds. That's when you give your answers.
You guys ready? Category is stroke. Put your wages in. No, it's fine. Wages पहले wages. Wages डालते फिर question करते फिर 30 seconds. So you only start your 30-second thing. That's it.
You'll have to write the right answer.
What's happening there?
They're waging.
Are we ready? The category is stroke. We are ready? Yes?
We need to move on. Dr. Anupama Gotimukula has asked us to keep going. In the interest of time, let us know what's happening. Team 3, so what is your score? 3,900. So you can score nothing. You can score minimum, any range from 0 to 3,900. You can wage up to 3,900. But you do have to wage now. 0, any number, or up to 3,900. Yeah, is that okay? No, Team 1 is 400. You don't have to worry about that. Your score is 3,900. So just wage 0 to 3,900.
Are we ready?
Yeah, please bring us your responses. Oh, yeah, question. Oops, right. Okay, so the prompt is,
This part of the brain is the most common location of a hypotensive intracranial hemorrhage.
and I will start the timer.
You have 30 seconds to answer.
Timer starts now. 25 seconds more. Five seconds more.
It's all done. Give the answer. Done.
All four? All three, right?
The answer is what is putamen. We will get back to you with the final scores.
So the final score for the final Jeopardy for the final years, Team 1 at 800, Team 3 at 6,900, and Team 5 at 5,300. So these are the prize winners anyway, because these are three teams. So first prize, Team 3, second, Team 5, and first, Team 1. Congratulations. So we will announce the prize and the other details after the Women's Forum. Thank you everyone for participating. Thank you. And thank you everyone for your patient viewers.
निकाल, साइड मॉडल से निकाल फटाफट, साइड मॉडल से निकालो.
ఇందులో 1.1 2.1 ఓ పాయింట్ ఉంది. ఆఫ్ చేశారు ఏంటో తెలియదు. ఆన్ చేయాలి, ఆన్ చేయాలి.
चेयर लगाना पड़ेगा, लास्ट कॉर्नर एक्स्ट्रा चेयर लास्ट. अनुपम
Good afternoon. May I have everyone's attention? I'm sorry we were running late behind our schedule because of other programs. So I am Dr. Meher Meravaram. I'm the Women's Chair for the GHS Women's Forum. This time I would like to invite first our committee members onto the stage, please, all the Women's Forum, and Dr. Anupama Gotumukula, Seema Arora, Uma Janulagada, Malti Mehta, and Uday Shivangi. And may I have the pleasure of inviting all our Women's Forum dignitaries. If you can please come in. Preeti Uppala, Dr. Jacob, Ruby Jacob Nara, Dr. Meenakshi Martin, and our eminent Dr. Shanta Kumarigan. Give them a big hand. They have been waiting here patiently. At this time, I would like to recognize our AAPI Women's Chair, Dr. Seema Arora. Dr. Seema Arora is Women's Chair for Physicians Committee for 21-22. She's also a past BOT Chair for the AAPI, and she's an internal medicine physician and specializing in aesthetic medicine that you could see. She's always well dressed. And she works at the Harvard, Massachusetts Brigham Hospital. And she is the past president of Lady Harding Medical Alumni and also IMA of New England. This time I welcome Dr. Seema Arora.
Thank you, Meher, for that nice introduction. So hello and welcome everyone to the Women's Forum session of AAPI Global Health Summit. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about what our Women's Committee has been doing in this year, because it's been very active and we've done a lot for women's issues. And recently we had on Zoom, we had a session globally attended by panelists, which is on domestic violence prevention. And now we are here to serve our motherland and to give back and through this Global Health Summit. And specifically, our Women's Committee has been involved in the project of prevention and eradication of cervical cancer by HPV vaccination, which is in accordance with the theme of our summit, prevention is better than cure. Secondly, we are trying to spread awareness and also inspire women by this forum. And the theme of our forum today is Women Who Inspire. And today, under this one roof, we have these very many inspirational women, very accomplished in their fields, from various walks of life, from across the continent, who can be role models to all the other women around the world. But before we open the forum to the discussion, I would like to introduce briefly my committee here, who's been working very, very hard for past many months to organize this event. And these are themselves very accomplished AAPI physicians who are multifaceted, multi-talented women who themselves can be inspiration and role models to many. So first and foremost, of course, our President, Dr. Anupama Gotumukula. I would like to give a big hand to her. So Dr. Gotumukula is a pediatric anesthesiologist at Children's Hospital of San Antonio, Texas, and also past president of Texas Indo-American Physician Society and alternate delegate in IMG. Welcome, Dr. Gotumukula. And she is such an inspirational woman, as you can see, organizing this big global health summit in this time of the pandemic was not an easy task. So Thank you, Dr. Gotamakula. Okay, okay. Okay, so do you want to say a few words? Just a few words. Okay, welcome. Yeah.
Thank you all so much for coming, our invited dignitaries. And every one of us have been looking forward to hear from you all. This is the Women's Year now, so we have a lot of women leadership in AAPI, and I welcome you all. Let us share our thoughts and hope we will inspire the rest of the women and men in this room. Thank you.
Next is our advisor, another very inspirational, strong woman, Dr. Udaya Shivangi. And she's also the chair of this Global Health Summit this year. Dr. Udaya Shivangi, where are you? Okay. So she is a practicing physician specialized in sleep medicine in Mississippi and is also the president of Mississippi chapter of AAPI. Dr. Meher Medavaram, you just met her. She is the chair of GHS forum this year and also member of AAPI Physicians Committee. She's a practicing physician in Illinois and clinical preceptor of family medicine in University of Illinois, Chicago. She is also the regional director of AAPI Northeast region. Big hand, and she wants to say a few words.
Thank you, Seema. I just want to say one thing about our committee, that we came up with this prevention for cervical cancer, that is also the theme of PARC for this year here and also for India, because cervical cancer is number 2 killer. So when this morning when we started, we wanted to raise and give about at least 100 vaccines to save like 100 lives, cervical cancer, and it was amazing response that people of my committee and also all the AAPI committee, they opened up their hearts and their wallets, and we raised 6.5 lakhs so far, just now within 3 hours, okay? So I really have to give a big hand for everybody for coming up with that kind of, so that's, just wanted to share that with you. Thank you. We are soft but tenacious, so watch out.
All right, moving on, our next member of AAPI Women's Physician Committee is Dr. Malti Mehta. She is a board-certified psychiatrist practicing in North Carolina, and she's also the regional director of AAPI South Region and vice president of BGMC College Alumni. Dr. Malti Mehta. Next is Dr. Uma Jonalagadda, member of GHS Forum. She is a family medicine physician practicing in Georgia, the president-elect of GAPI chapter of AAPI, and was co-chair of AAPI Obesity Committee, which did really well last year, spreading obesity awareness. All right, so next I will be introducing our esteemed guests today, and I'm going to start with Ms. Preeti Uppala. She is an investment banker turned into a thought leader, a media entrepreneur, and Miss India International. A geopolitical expert, award-winning international columnist, and director of the Omnia Institute, she is also a public speaker, actor, radio, and TV commentator based in Hollywood, host of a popular show called The Preeti Experience. I could go on, but in the essence of time, I'm going to just say a few lines, and she's going to be speaking and telling more about herself a little later. So welcome, Preeti. Next is Dr. Tejaswini Manogna, who you all met her yesterday. So we're fortunate she's joining our Women's Forum today again. A young medical doctor, graduate of Osmania Medical College, Hyderabad. She's the title holder of the beauty pageant Divine Miss Earth India 2019. She's also a surgeon in Hyderabad. She is the president of Federation of Obstetric and Gynecological Societies of India and treasurer of International Federation of OB/GYN. She is committed to have a cancer-mukt Bharat by 2030 and to elevate women's health globally and to stop violence against women. So that goes pretty much with the theme of our prevention theme of our summit, which is, Cancer Mukt Bharat, and she's going to talk a little more about it later. Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Juby Jacob Nara. And she is also a physician with Masters in Public Health and Business Administration from Cornell University in America. She is the Chief Medical Officer and Vice President of Global Clinical Development and Medical Affairs at Sanofi Genzyme, Washington. And she is involved in the development of specialty pharmaceuticals, vaccines, biologics, and other consumer products. Again, a very accomplished woman, and she is also very much involved in prevention. Next and the last speaker I'm going to introduce is Dr. Meenakshi Martins. She's a practicing consultant psychiatrist in Goa with interest in research in fields of substance abuse, women, and child welfare. She has been honored by the Psychiatric Society of Goa for services rendered in the field of mental health. She's also an award-winning theater artist, film, television, and Netflix actress. Dr. Martins. So as you can see, these are very accomplished ladies wearing so many different hats, and I am in an awe how they do this all, but like Dr. Kishan Kumar said, women power. We can do it all. So at this point, I will leave the podium and I will invite the speakers one by one to say a few lines and tell them about themselves and about their life stories and their journey and how they accomplished all this, so it can inspire audience and other women here and everybody. We will begin in the same order with Ms. Preeti Uppala.
Just this a bit. Namaste, everyone. Can you all hear me? What a beautiful day it is. Blessed to be here. Namaste again. Want to thank Dr. Seema Arora for introducing all of us and doing such a wonderful job, and Dr. Anupama as well for being the president of AAPI and making all of this amazing global summit a reality. So thank you so much. I want to start with a quote that I think is apt for our session today. A woman is like a tea bag. You only know how strong she is when she is in hot water. Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, former First Lady of the United States of America. So this is where we are at. I mean, women have this incredible inherent power that really comes out when she's tested the most and when she's backed into a corner. And I think post-COVID, 2022, I think this is as hot as it gets for the planet. And I think it just globally, women coming together, this is the future of the world, whether you like it or not. We have to unite and, be there for each other. So I, just wanted to share a little bit about myself, and if I can give you a few tidbits of what has inspired me in my life, perhaps all the young women and men in here can take some nuggets of wisdom away and use it in their own life, and I know that I've done my job. I am a former investment banker, now based in Hollywood, California, and I work in the media, in the entertainment industry. I'm a public speaker. I'm writing my first book. I write for various publications, and I'm a Dharma ambassador. And finally, I'm also a geopolitical expert. I work with think tanks, but more commonly, I'm invited by major news and radio channels all around the world to speak on very important topics such as foreign policy and so on. And I was thinking about this topic, and I thought maybe the best way for me to share my journey is I just want to point out 3 things that have helped me in my own life. And when I think about power, when I think about empowerment, what does that mean for me? The first one is culture. Bharat is an incredible civilizational state. We are so blessed to be born in this wonderful sacred land. We've got over 5,000 years of civilizational history and so much wisdom that is as relevant today as it ever was. And I think for me, my power comes from my upbringing, from my parents, from the culture I was born into. And the most beautiful thing I think about Indian culture is we don't have to have this conflict between the man-woman dynamic. Power is shared. The Shiva Shakti dynamic is something that is inherent in our culture. We've kept it, we've honored it for so many thousands of years. And I think it's actually a framework for the West. That's one thing they could learn from us, because I live in LA, and out there's this dog fight between I'm the boss, you're not. If I have to have it, then you can't have it. And I have to take something from you in order to prop myself up. And this is not what power is. Real power is how you affect the world at large. Are you in harmony with yourself? And are you in harmony with the other spirit, other soul, other souls that live? So what I see, though, is India and Indians aping the West for external validation and so on. And I just hope, my prayer is that in this pursuit of trying to be more modern or trying to be more like the Great West, that we don't lose what makes us special, which is our culture and our incredible wisdom, at a time when actually the West is looking to India to lead the way because their own system has so many flaws in it. So, that's number one. Number 2 is it's your dharma. I think it's your purpose, it's your path to empower yourself and others. And you do it because you can, you do it because you care. So that has been, people ask me, you've done so much. Why do you keep fighting? Why do you keep wanting to do more? And I say, because I'm just getting started. I'm just scratching the surface. There is so much more for me to share and serve. And I do it because I can, because I know that I'm not going to sleep until I do as much of that as possible. And the third one is fulfillment. The fulfillment is in itself. There's no pot of gold at the end, especially when you look at the concept of Maya in our culture and, just life itself. It's this incredible cycle. So the fulfillment is in the journey of it. It's not in the destination. So you do it because it brings you joy. It brings you bliss. It brings you ananda. I think true power is when you are being yourself, your authentic self, sharing your gifts with the world in the most harmonious way as possible, and bringing a smile on everybody's face and knowing that you've left the world in a slightly better place than when you found it. That's true empowerment for me. I hope this is a great year for all of you. I hope you can find your power and share it with the world, because the world is waiting for you to be that great. We can all be great. You don't have to change the world. Just change your own mindset. And even if you affect one person, it is so worth it. So with that, I thank you so much. I hope to connect with each and every one of you. Please do come up and reach out to me. And I hope you have a blessed year. And I want to see the world a happier, safer, healthier place than it has been. Stay together, stay strong. Love you, Bharat. Thank you so much for having me. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Preeti, for those empowering words. Definitely, you know, we need to empower ourselves and then we empower others. So thank you for that message. And with that, I would like to call upon the next speaker, which is Tejaswini Manogna.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you all today? I know you all just had your lunch. I hope you all are not sleepy. My respects to the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. I am delighted to be here today amongst those women who bravely voiced their choices, who became the voice of many other women and created an identity for themselves while gracefully balancing both their profession and their family. Hats off to all of y'all. A huge round of applause for all the women present here on the stage and off the stage. Nature, as such, has given a bigger responsibility to women to bear a child. And in the making of a child, a mother plays an incredible role. My mother, who's here with a camera standing there, okay, she had a huge influence on my life. She is a really simple woman with a strong ideologies in her life, and she believed in simple living and high thinking. And she taught me the same values. And she made sure that I wake up early in the morning at 6 a.m. from the time when I was born. So, you know, she never let me sleep beyond 6 a.m. And I think it's the same kind of discipline I still carry forward. I still wake up at 5 a.m. and do all my activities. So she made sure that I grow up as, you know, as a disciplined child. And while working, she was working as a software engineer, and while working, she made sure she dedicated her weekends to me, and with that little salary, whatever she had, she made sure I went to the best dance class, wear the best outfits. So she's done her best, and, you know, despite a lot of negativity which comes around from the society, which might say that is all this necessary for a girl child to be doing all of this? Despite of all that, she gave me a path, and I think it is from her that I learned the attitude, the never give up kind of attitude. And growing up in a simple family, it taught me the art of survival, the art of being humble, and the art of being grounded despite any kind of achievements that I might make in my life. And my parents might not have given me a lot of comforts in terms of materialistic terms, but they have given me an incredible upbringing, and I'm sure I'm going to carry forward the same to my next generation. I think it's okay to give the kid also a little of credits to listening to a parent like that. So I had a vision. I had a vision to be the voice of the women, to be the ambassador of the youth, and the will to do something for my nation, and that dream to do something big in my life, and the desire to lead a better life. I think it is these qualities which help me step out of my comfort zone and chase my passion. I became the All India's Best Cadet of NCC, honored by the Prime Minister and President of India, and got the SAARC countries medal in Sri Lanka, and represented India probably into 6 to 7 countries. I am the Miss India Earth and represented India and Philippines and got my international medals. I've been a Bharatanatyam dancer for the past 20 years and given over 2,000 performances, and a yoga practitioner, a trainer, an eco-activist, and a philanthropist. Let me tell you, I mean, doing all this is definitely not easy coming from the background that I belong to. Okay, it took me innumerable challenges and innumerable failures and hardships to be doing all of that. But if I can do it, can we not do it? I mean, you all can do it. All the youngsters present here. I am no angel coming from the heaven. I belong to the same kind of family, same kind of middle class environment that I'm brought up in. But if I can do it, you all can do it, right? A woman will be defined by her courage, by the courage that she portrays and not by her appearance, not the outfit she wears, not the lipstick she wears, not the high heels she wears, but it is her courage that defines a woman. And having that self-confidence is the most important key for a woman in this kind of a society. A woman, talking about empowerment. What is empowerment? Empowerment for me is this, just creating that self-worth, giving them the right platform and giving them the right to make choices in life. We don't need women's rights. We just need the human rights. That's it. Just as much as men need. Even, in the current, at least it is better now, but it is still, even basic education is a luxury to millions of girl childs, in the rural areas. With limited educational access and early school dropouts and physical and sexual abuse, domestic violence, rape, and gender bias and unequal pay, I think a lot of us face a lot of such problems in our day-to-day life. Maybe not the same, but I think every woman here must have faced some kind of discrimination in their life. The only thing I want to say to all the women is that, dear women, speak up. Do not suffer in silence. Voice your opinions. Be bold to use your voice. Be brave enough to listen to your heart and strong enough to lead a life that you have imagined. And on a lighter note, educating a woman means educating a society, it is said. Is that right? It is right? So a very simple example to prove this is that, for example, if you look at your mother in your house, she might not be working right now, but she might have got some kind of education, or even if not educated, she talks to the milkman, she talks to the garbage picker, she talks to, the paper guy, and she talks to everybody outside and asks, how are you doing? And she takes care of the well-being of those people, and she asks, is your kid going to school right now? So she is trying to educate everybody that that she encounters in her day-to-day life. And also, women at home, how many departments do we manage? Many. So, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Ministry of Child and Women Welfare. So, if a woman can manage so many things at home and she's already experienced to do so, don't you think she can lead the nation? Of course, right? She will be the lead in any department that she is given. We have so many examples right now with the finance minister being a woman, and we have so many examples. So women in the past have set so many examples for us, and women in the future will be setting a lot of examples to us. And I would say we would be the women who would be setting an example to the coming generation. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity, AAPI. Thank you, Anupama ma'am, for choosing me here and making sure I'm here. Thank you, AAPI, and thank you everyone in the audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Tejaswini, for that nice speech. And we're so fortunate to have a youth leader like you. I'm sure it's very empowering and very encouraging for the young women here. And I'm so glad you talked about your mom. Of course, strong mothers raise strong daughters. And my daughter being here in the audience today, I hope someday she says that to me. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Shanta Kumari. Please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Meher, Dr. Anupama, Dr. Seema, Dr. Udaya, and Dr. Dwaraknath Reddy, and the whole of AAPI. Indeed, a pleasure to be here. I bring greetings from FOXY, the 38,000 strong body of gynecologists of India. I happen to be the 60th president of FOXY, the first Telugu girl to be a FOXY president. Thank you. And I also bring greetings from FIGO, the global voice of women. We have about 137 countries. If you go with headquarters at London, we are the global voice of women. This year, when I took over as the president, Foxy, I came with my team, Foxy for All, Always, and Dhira, Stop Violence Against Women. In fact, in 2016, when I was the member of FIGO's working group on No to Violence Against Women, that was a time when FIGO started this international group, but they didn't have a direction. When I was made a member, I initiated the Dhira initiative. Dhira means courage. Courage to say no. Dhira, no to violence against women. Now, why is it that as obstetrician, I took this challenge of starting this initiative? Because friends, this violence against women affects women's health. It has an impact on the maternal morbidity and mortality. And if you want to achieve the SDG goals, if you want to reduce the maternal morbidity, mortality, it's only when you reduce the impact of violence against women. That is the importance of violence in the, I can say not in the country, globally, because there's no part across the globe where women are not affected by violence. So I think that's so very important that we have heard our young girls. We just heard Amanognya so beautifully put it, and even Preeti, and I'm sure there are many more girls, young girls here, who will definitely agree with me. I always believed, if you really want to do something wholeheartedly, you will definitely be able to do it. You need to have the in thing in you that, yes, I can. Now, I really appreciated your theme, prevention. So absolutely right. We're talking about the cervical cancer prevention. As a Foxy president, when we started this Cancer Mukt Bharat. So Foxy says Cancer Mukt Bharat in association with the Government of India's policy, because we are unfortunately having a very big burden of cervical cancer in our country. And it's hovering between the second and the third place, where sometimes the upper lip and other things, and of course breast has overtaken cervical cancer, but it's such a huge burden. And I think the onus is on all of us to see that we can try to reduce the impact of cervical cancer in our women. So as Foxy and FIGO, we are advocating the 90-70-90 policy. What is it? Simple. See that 90% of your adolescent girls are vaccinated. See that 70% of the women are screened. Now, yes, we believe in HPV and colposcopy, and 90% of the women tested, screened, should be, who have tested positive, to be given the treatment. That should be the policy of everyone globally. And that's what Foxy and FIGO are aiming. And in fact, we are partnered with the WHO, UNICEF, and so many other organizations to actually send across this message. In fact, this across the country on 6th and 7th of November, we did the cervical cancer screening days. The first day was screening. So very difficult to get people to actually go and do the screening camps. Everyone is busy. All the doctors, I can't really blame them. No, everyone has their own, I can say, their own various activities. It's so difficult. But in spite of it, I'm so very proud of my members who actually come up to the in pandemic. They did do a lot of programs. In fact, I was at the launch program at village in Kannur. 300 women screened with colposcopy and vaccinated. Please tell them, you give us, do camps, give us vaccinations, give us the colposcopy. We will give you the votes. Don't you think that's your responsibility? The Sarpanch was so very keen. I think that's very important. Going to the level, because it's so very difficult for us to actually reach out to all the villages or individually. But if you make the local people involved, make them feel that they actually have to take care of the women, it will go a long way. And that's so very important. So that is a project which Foxy has been doing. And yes, Dhira initiative, when we started No to Violence Against Women, I'm very happy to introduce. I have started this Dhira project with coordination with the UNICEF India and WHO. this is basically to actually catch them young. We started the online certification course. The best thing is you need to touch those young minds 9 to 12th class and do some sort of, you need to actually focus on them. So with this online certification courses being taken for all these 9 to 12th class students, to only sensitize them on violence against women and how it makes a difference in the health of the country. No boy should actually grow up when he sees his father or anybody else doing any violence. He should not grow up thinking it's okay that I can do it. At the same time, no girl who has seen around her a mother or anybody being affected by violence should grow up thinking it's okay to accept. So with this intention, I initiated this DIRA online certification course. The reason why I started the online certification course is children are attracted to get a certificate, especially if it's with FIGO, FOXY, and UNICEF. So that was the reason we initiated. The end result, I'm hoping to make it a compulsory curriculum for our school children, and I'm sure that that will also happen. And what we all need to look at why is it that we need to talk about women empowerment and all the things which these young girls have told? Absolutely right. When you're talking about sexual and reproductive rights of the woman, who is going to decide when the girl is ready to marry? Who is going to decide when that lady wants to have a baby, she should have baby? Who is going to decide that she should have an abortion or anything? Is it going to be the mother, the mother-in-law, the husband, or the government? It is the woman's sexual and reproductive right. And that is so very important. I think that realization should come. And to be very honest, let me tell you, friends, we women in India are much more empowered than many other women across the globe. I have traveled the length and breadth. And let me tell you, to take this dhira to the FLASOC countries, the Latin American societies in 2017, I had to fight with them for long. They said, no, Shanta, we can't do it. It's all a male dominated. So, it's so difficult. It is so this, that, fought with them. And I said, no, we have to do it. And they did agree in that Congress it was in Cancun. After everything, they said, okay, we have a press conference. They had all men addressing and everyone sitting. So I said, sorry, this is not what is called empowerment. Who is it that you are addressing? And who is it? And finally, they agreed to make the women of the FLASOC societies. Of course, it was in Spanish. I really don't know whether what I explained, they've actually translated in the correct sense. So that, absolutely. So partner with men to say no to violence against women. And in Rio, to make this dhira walk, this public awareness program, I had to fight with them for 6 months. They said, no, political, this, that. Then we had to say, look here, boss, FIGO is our Congress. The world is looking at us. We are the global voice of women, and we did make it possible. And that day I realized that globally, when all the societies across the UK, the RCOG, the ACOG, FLASOG, AOFOG, everyone was there. So be it anywhere, human mentality is same. The problems are same. The issues are same. I think the way to approach each problem should change. And that will definitely make a difference. I'm sure that with all of us together, we can definitely, and with men around us who are going to partner, I'm sure that we will be able to make a difference. And what I will tell is, please take care of your sons. Please make them partners in this cruise. And they should be brought up in a way that they learn to respect and gender neutrality. That's so very important. We need that generation next to grow up in a gender neutral society. And that is the day I think then we can say, yes, we have achieved it. Otherwise, we keep on having bhashans, we keep having meetings, we keep doing slogans. And pandemic, unfortunately, we have seen in this terrible time of COVID pandemic, violence against women has become the silent pandemic. That is the reason now the government of India, FOXY, FIGO, the UNICEF, WHO, all of us are working to try to do our bit to reduce the burden. In fact, now the USAID and everyone also are coming forward and they want to partner with us because now globally everyone is focusing on this issue. Let's hope these young girls take the message across and try to bring about a change. You are a thought leader. I think what is very important, you need to change the thought process of each and every person, and that is the only way forward. So congratulations, team. You have done a fantastic work, and I'm sure you will be able to do more, and we are always here to support. And thank you, Dr. Anupama and the whole team. Thank you all, friends, for having us here.
Thank you, Dr. Shanta Kumari. That was a very powerful speech. And thank you for shedding light on what India is doing for prevention of cancer and also for domestic violence. And actually, that happens to be our themes, what we've been working on in AAPI this year, cancer prevention and domestic violence. So I'm glad we can work hand in hand. And the next, I would like to invite Dr. Juby Jacobs-Nara.
I'm shorter, guys. So first of all, it's been such a pleasure being here. And I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity, not just to represent Indian physicians, but women leaders. And I want to first of all thank you, Dr. Anupama, Dr. Seema, Dr. Meher, and everyone who's organized this terrific conference, because prevention is better than a cure is extremely important. And I know you guys wanted to hear a little bit about the journey. So I was born in New Delhi to a woman who came from an extremely poor family. They didn't even have bathrooms and, used the outside for bathrooms, and yet pursued to get some kind of education. The motivation of my mother's desire was to help her siblings, her parents. So you see, as women, we are inherently made with that desire and compassion to extend, to help, to build up. That mom of mine then chose to learn nursing, applied everywhere, and studied in Mysore. And she's the one who then went to the United States. I was born in Delhi. My dad was an Air Force person in New Delhi. And then we both followed. I was about 2.5, 3 years old. So I grew up in New York. But you have to understand, my parents are well in their 70s, late 70s now. And the culture was very different back then. My mother was not encouraged to educate herself, but she had a mother that supported her and believed in her. So that was amazing, that despite the others who said, oh, why do you want to send her over there? Why should she have to study? Don't bother her, just get her married off. That was the culture. But yet my grandmother supported mom. My mother then took not only us, but her whole family and brought them over to the United States and helped them further progress. Now, my dad, I'm the firstborn. I have a younger brother, 8 years younger than me. He's an orthopedic surgeon. And when I was born, it was, oh man, it's a girl. That was the attitude. I was born in New Delhi. Of course, dad's changed since, but that was the attitude. And it wasn't about getting me educated. It was about, all right, do what's necessary and then find a nice boy from a good family, and that's the deal. But I had a passion for medicine, and we were very poor. Mom was the primary income bearer, but yet she saved up. And I ended up doing medicine in India because that's all we could afford. And I was grateful for the experience. I studied at Kasturba Medical College, and my brother, who's 8 years younger, studied in the US and is a reconstructive orthopedic surgeon. So this is the journey. And what I'm trying to say is, slowly but surely, we affected change. And that has to happen by asking some of the difficult questions, sometimes bringing conflict, because conflict opens eyes. and helps people understand that more can be done. So since then, I studied, finished medicine, went back to the US, and then originally I married outside the fold. That was another big deal. Didn't marry, get an arranged marriage or anything like that. Married a person from Malaysia, totally not something my parents supported, but now realize the bigger picture. I started doing obstetrics and gyne, which I still am very passionate about. And but when I went back to the US, I decided to do preventive medicine. One, because malpractice is crazy in the US for OBGYNs. Secondly, because I truly believe it's very near and dear to my heart that prevention is worth way more than all the treatments. Not to undermine treatments, but that we can gain so much more and decrease morbidity and mortality by focusing on that. So with that being said, I went back, did my MPH at Columbia University, then did business degrees, 2 business degrees at Cornell, and then I did my academic doctorate in community health and education. I currently serve as the head of global medical affairs, the vice president at Sanofi, and I am responsible for many of the disease awareness campaigns, all of the clinical studies, as well as diseases in respiratory, GI, allergy, as well as many women's health arenas. So I have to say that Dr. Shanta, I was tremendously excited about hearing all that you're doing, because it's also very near and dear to my heart. I was part of the team that worked together to bring Gardasil to the market. And I've, had the privilege of working on many, many vaccines in my career. And in fact, in 2000, I believe it was 2007, we had a campaign with PT Usha to increase awareness for cervical cancer. And just anecdotally here, when I was in my second MBBS first term, when we started clinicals, we started with obstetrics and gyne. That was my rotation. And the first case I saw, and that will never go out of my mind, was a cauliflower-like friable growth of a woman who came in with CA cervix. I mean, it was so difficult to just take a piece of tissue because it's so friable and it would just bleed. And it was so disappointing that it came to that stage. We have a problem here and we need to change that. And the best way to change that is to A, empower, B, educate, and inform. In this day and time, I saw on the bag, it says transformation, telemedicine. There's so much and technology that we can do. Even amongst the poorest of families, they have cell phones, they have TVs. We need to have outreach. We need to have direct-to-consumer advertisements, information, education. If women are aware that we can take a simple pap smear and help prevent the potential morbidity and mortality associated with cervical cancer, they will do something about it, not just for themselves, but for their daughters and others in the community. We need to raise a buzz. We need to get people talking. And by informing and educating, we can do more for that. Similarly, breast cancer, it's so on the rise. I see cases where people never bother to do a self-exam because they don't know how to do a self-exam. The value of the annual physical is practically nil unless there is a problem, unless they're in pain or something's not right. People aren't going and seeing. We as a country, as a nation, need to do more to help people know that there's value in that, and they have to do it. We can prevent, identify, and treat early on. And of course, I've been happy to say I've been part of the coronavirus vaccination programs and many of the vaccines. And that is something that we also have to continue to educate, because people have fear, conspiracy theories. We cannot be judgmental. As physicians, we have to be agnostic of looks, agnostic of social status, socioeconomic strata, agnostic of caste, creed, color, religion, all this, because we need to understand people are people. And the key to success is down to earth, practical, humble communication. And I cannot emphasize this more. So I really thank my fellow leaders here in everything that you're doing. And let's continue to not just talk, but affect change and move that needle further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chubi Nara. That was really, really very inspirational. And thanks for sharing your inspirational journey of life with us. That was really heart-moving. And also giving us tools how to handle these problems today. So our next speaker is Dr. Meenakshi Martin. Please welcome her.
Good evening, all. The organization team of AAPI, Anupama, Meher, and Seema for having me on this beautiful occasion where I got to learn more than I believe I'm going to share today. Thank you, Dr. Amit Chakrabarti, for suggesting my name. And we are supposed to be talking about women who inspire, women empowerment, and successful women. I'm told that I'm supposed to be talking about my journey, and I really do not consider myself to be any of the above. I'm neither successful, nor am I empowered, nor do I inspire. I do not consider myself to be inspiring enough. But the speakers before me have done such a wonderful job, and that I feel, well, everything that I needed to be said here has already been mentioned by one speaker or the other. But yes, since I'm here, I would like to share my story. I was born in a very small village with no electricity, no public water supply, and no roads, no transportation. I walked something to the tune of 6 to 12 kilometers, depending on my sports practices in the school per day. Much later, when my father saw me digging very late in life, and he said, all that walking has done you good. And walking in extremely hot sun. You come back home at 2 o'clock, have your lunch, 3:30, you walk back 1.5 kilometers, and then again 3 kilometers, so 4.5 kilometers, one way, in extremely hot sun, and then go there and play. I played for my state. So yeah, whatever we do, we start very young. Born to two parents who were freedom fighters. My father joined the freedom movement in 1942 when he was a 22-year-old student in Dharwad in Karnataka. We have been talking about, being from all over the country. People are born somewhere, study somewhere. My mother, of course, came from a very limited resource family, though being a huge landlord. She had lost her mother, and her father remarried an uneducated woman because he had given birth to 2 daughters, and the village pressurized him to marry to produce a son, which was not produced. So my mother remained the sole, sort of a guiding light for that family. She ran away at the age of 15 to pursue a career in nursing. She passed her nursing at the age of 16, then did her pharmaceutical graduation. That time it was called, in Portuguese, of course, we come from a Portuguese colony. Then she did Lyceum, which is equivalent to something called as B.Ed now. And then she was practicing pharmacy, nursing, and teaching other people. And someone very derogatory in a terminology was used against my mother to tell me that, oh, your mother stitched underwears to pay for her medical fees. So I said, isn't that something one should be very proud for? Because she was being independent. She was using her mother's gold to pay for her books. And she stitched other people's clothes because she did not want to take anything from her own father, who she thought had betrayed her. But she did her medicine, and in medicine, she did 2 post-graduations. So my mother was 4 times graduate and 2 times postgraduate. And I think I fall short, but I make up in other departments. So having a mother of that nature Obviously, I was taught medicine at the age of 7. I did my first surgery at the age of 7 when I could not even open the artery forceps. So I had to send my driver back home to open it so that I could do the dressing and, the nangar. You know what a nangar is, the hull, the plow, the bullock cart and the plow, what we plow the fields with, that had gone in someone's foot through and through. So it was a huge wound and it had to be dressed every day. So that was my first medical, or rather a surgical experience. So I was told inadvertently by my parents that I don't have limitations, that I can do whatever I wish to do. I was taught swimming in the fields, our paddy fields, at the age of 2. Before I could practically walk independently, I used to swim from one village to another across, say, 3 to 4 kilometers. And today, I believe it is some kind of a training and sports that is required. So I grew up a girl child, the firstborn, named Meenakshi, in a family that spoke Portuguese and were raised Catholics. Meenakshi is a daughter of Kuber. Meenakshi is also the Swarup of Parvati or Durga. And I always say that my parents defined my life and my future with my name, so that I could grow and become what they had named me. Yeah, many people ask me, medicine and acting, how does it go hand in hand? I believe that success, that is what I was first told, that we should, we are talking about success and women, starts with a goal. And goals are changing. They're so fluid for a woman. At a particular age, all of us are doctors here, or, entrepreneurs and scientists and research scholars. At a younger age, we want to do well in our classes, in our marks, and we want to get good grades, and we want to stand first, second, or whatever we want to do. I wanted to win awards for acting whilst doing medicine, whilst also standing first in certain subjects in the University of Bombay. I could not, cope with acting and medicine that well, but I excelled in acting. So what we did was, every year I answered medicine. The next year I did theater. It was a state level competition. And from there, I think getting into films or getting into serials was pretty easy, but not from Goa. So to that end, I joined a research group for the Ministry of Social Welfare. I worked with them for 4 years during my senior residency in psychiatry. I wrote co-authored 21 papers on substance abuse, wrote 2 books for the Ministry of Welfare, because the research was based in Bombay. So that once I'm shifted to Bombay, I can, start looking for work in films. And as luck would have it, my first film was a Malayalam film, which was in the panorama section, so not Hindi. We women are very adaptive. And mostly when we face a wall of resistance, of abuse, of difficulty, of challenges, a defeat, or a failure of any kind, or we are pushed to the wall and we are forced to react, we do. So when I could not, I set up a hospital in Bombay, of course, 45-bedded hospital for drug de-addiction and rehabilitation. Then I thought that it's time I end my 11-year work with substance abuse and look for something different. So I got married. Okay. And I got married, Ogon, raised in a very open and as far as my abilities were concerned, my father did not ever allow me to wear anything above my elbows and above my ankles. So I didn't wear dresses after the age of 13. I was not allowed to use lipstick by my father. I was also not allowed to cut my hair. So a pure Indian kind of culture with no tinge of Western influence on me, and I was raised thus. So when I married a man who was raised by UP parents, nothing wrong with UP here, okay? And you are? Okay. My in-laws are both PhDs, incidentally, in literature. But there was so much restriction. And they adored Madhuri Dixit. They would run to see Madhuri without their chappals, barefoot. But they would not understand why on earth did a doctor want to act. They had no concept that I had moved to Bombay only to act and I had no other intentions. Marriage was incidental. But the challenges didn't stop there. I also wanted children. It's a biological clock business. And I think we fall prey and we are stupid to convince ourselves that we need children. And I'm very happy that the newer generation and the current girls are refraining themselves from falling prey to this mythological notion that every woman has to be a mother. I'm a very proud mother. I got twins. They're 30 years old. One of my sons has got cerebral palsy and bilateral kidney failure. He's in a wheelchair. That redefined my goals as to who I was. I could neither be a psychiatrist, nor could I be an actor, because I had to be a full-time mother. And I became one. I had to take him for physiotherapy and I had to run the length and breadth of Bombay trying to keep him alive. When doctors said that he would not survive 3 weeks, then they said 3 months, and then they said maybe 2.5 years, and he's 30 today. And sometimes he thanks me. I choose to remember the good times when he was a baby and he would climb up on my chest and say, "Wee, good morning, Mama. What a wonderful day it is. Thanks for birthing me onto this wonderful planet of yours. It's so lovely." And he said that every year for years. Now he's 30 and he's having a doubt. That's because maybe we goofed up with the planet, nothing wrong with him. And so I was faced with the wall again and I had to make a shift. So when they were 3 months old, I was asked for an audition in RK films, the Raj Kapoor films. There were 67 girls. I mean, I was a mother of 3-month-old babies, but no one knew that. And I was also breastfeeding, which also no one knew. And so 67 females were being auditioned from morning 10 o'clock to evening 7, and I was the last woman standing. And I was selected. That's how I got the Malayalam film, because Shashi Kapoor didn't make his film. But I was very honored to be trained by Shashi Kapoor for almost 3 months every day. He didn't know I had children. I would carry my 4 months old, 5 months old, 6 months old and keep them with the maids in his garden. Till one day my son fell and he started howling. And I told Shashiji, I said, I have to leave. He says, whose children are crying outside? I said, well, I'll have to go and see whose children those are, but I have to go. I never told him I had kids. And no one knew I had till I started bringing them on shoots, when they were 4, 5 years old. Yeah, so every woman, I think from inside somewhere, finds the courage in the pursuit of this courage, because having a child who is dying is no fun. I cannot tell you the kind of trauma that I went through. I mean, I'll not generalize it. Trying to save my son, who does not have, the proper renal functions. He had ventricular septal defect. He had a tumor in the right atrium. So there was a lot of confusion. And when medicine failed, and I was told by the doctors, get out of our clinic, don't waste our time here. Humanity and physicians, I think they have a lot to learn. So the pediatrician refused to touch my son. He said, you're just wasting time. I have a lot of, people here. I went to spiritual sciences and I learned spiritual sciences from the length and breadth of this country. I visited everybody who taught me a great deal, who healed my son a lot. And I have written a book on it. One day, probably I'll put it up online. But in the process of healing my son, I think somewhere I healed my pain. And the best thing that happened to me was I learned to accept. And the due course of this process of mine, trying to save my son, trying to save a career, a marriage that had almost was non-existent because everybody wanted to kill my son. They told me various methods, like you can puncture here, you can put a pillow, or you can put atta in the, all sorts of things were told to me. And I fought and I stood, and I remember the, thank you. So I remember the statement I made when they came in to kill my child, and I stood in the middle and I said, the whole universe on one side and me and my children on one, and y'all can get lost. So I think the women have the power to do that, alienate themselves and to fight for what they love the most. So in the process, I learned that primarily I need to make myself better. So I went and studied science of the soul and various other things, in which I learned that Krodha, Maya, Moha, Ahankar, we call about Bharatiya Sanskriti, and we talk about Dharma, and we talk about Karma, and we talk about a lot of other things, but we never talk about how to improve yourself, oneself. And I think in that process, I learned to be a better human being. I learned to be more generous, more kind, more loving, more considerate, more compassionate, more understanding of other people's issues. We say, put yourself in the other person's shoes, but we really don't. So now when I see my patients and I give them so much time, and my statement always is, the fees psychiatrists charge, but you can pay me whatever. If it is a girl child and if it is a housewife, I make sure that I don't charge, just so that they come back for the next session. Because the moment they have to pay money for a woman, they don't come back for treatment. So I have, in that sense, then contributed through being on the Women's Commission, initiated laws in domestic violence, which are being implemented in the nation today. I have been on the committees for making of the rape laws, which are again implemented in the country today. The POSCO Act, the Prevention of Sexual Abuse Against Children's Act. So I was instrumental on the review, and I was on the committee for the before they're sent by the Parliament, by the President. So each of us have a huge ocean of resource, a woman, which we are capable of giving. And I think all of us here are doing that. I thank you so much for allowing me to speak. And I'm very, very grateful and honored to be in your presence. Thank you so much for a patient hearing. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Martin, for that very, very inspirational speech. And again, reinforcing women empowerment and how many hats women can wear, be a mother, professional, and at the same time pursue our hobbies. They have a right to do that, and you've proved it, that we can do it all. So I hope everyone here is feeling inspired and, work together towards women empowerment. At this time, we were going to open the forum for discussion, but because we're running a little short of time and the next session has to start here, I would just like to request each speaker to say in 2 lines, the closing statement, what your message would be for our audience, for women in India and women in general in the world. So you can start from that end to this end. And after that, I would like to invite Dr. Gotimukola for a vote of thanks.
So 2 sentences, 2 words, that's tough. But I think the most important thing is that we don't stop. We don't stop pushing. the momentum needs to continue and move forward. We've got to move the needle. Not just overall health is important, but we are a pillar in India where the mother, the maternal influence is the key pillar. Let's continue to elevate that. And in our youth today and the youngsters that are growing, let's make sure they learn it right. You know, keep the good, dump the bad, and move on.
It's the 21st century and women are still trying to find empowerment. And so where have we gone wrong as a society if at this stage, these are the questions we're asking? I think we need to go back to the drawing board and redefine what empowerment truly is, because I think that's where we might have gone wrong. Know what real power is. It's within us. You don't need to destroy or take power from somebody else to empower yourself. I think, again, going back to what I said, the Shiva Shakti dynamic, the man-woman dynamic is so powerful. That's something inherent in our culture that I think we can teach the world, especially I think in the West, this is a real problem. So my prayer to the Indian sister, the Indian mother, the Indian daughter is be proud of where you come from and your incredible culture and civilizational history. Keep that, keep the good. You can throw away the toxic elements, but don't throw away the baby with the bathwater, because that seems to be happening. So just be proud of who you are and where we come from. We have much to teach the world, but keep fighting. Jai Hind, guys, and be proud of who you are. Thank you. Namaste.
Seema, that is a very smart line. I think the day we start stopping having these sessions, I think that is the day which we would have reached. I think that's...
Yeah, I think Indian women are a very proud lot, considering that America and UK, the woman became a person only barely 100 years ago. My only message to the world is, to every woman, don't only think of improving and empowering yourself. You will be a successful person only when you empower 5 more people around you of whatever category and whatever nature. Lift them, take them along with you, let them rise and let them also be empowered. By making someone else more empowered, you shall become further powerful. Thank you.
Women who inspire. I think we have a galaxy of women here who inspire us, and we don't need to search for inspiration. We find inspiration in our home itself, within ourselves itself. So just be brave to voice your choices and do not give up on your goals. Thank you.
All right, now, thank you very much, all the esteemed panelists. Thank you for coming here, but I would officially like to invite Dr. Gautamikula to say the word of thanks.
That was amazing. That was amazing to hear each of you, highly successful. I have to start from all the committee actually who put a thought into this theme, and I think we heard great message from each of them. I look at it myself as well, so where I came from and where I am today, and it's always inside you. Believe in yourself. That's the way I think, and then always think that you can do it. You can do it. That's all I think about. So there's nothing is impossible. So these are 3 things I think about myself, so I don't stumble, and stay strong and do what you want to do, and not to impress others, but you have to impress your own within yourself and be proud of yourself. And this is, thank you so much, all the speakers, Juby and Preeti, Dr. Shanta Kumari, Dr. Martin, and Tejaswini. Thank you so much for giving your time to empower us as well. Thank you. And thanks to the team, Seema and Udaya, my partner in crime. She put a lot of thought into what we should do to make this summit very successful. The woman behind, I need to recognize her. Thank you, Daya. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to say, we need to make a change. Today the Women's Forum is in the ballroom. That change was made by me. I'm so proud of. When I is becoming a co-chair and chair, it used to be like a 20 people, 30 people. It's always be 2 p.m. in the afternoon. But then later on, I insisted it has to be in the ballroom, and that too afternoon, 2 p.m., and everybody eat a good lunch and go to sleep. Nobody comes. Only 10 people used to show up. So I made that change. Thank you. We cannot do without men. See, look at the number. More men than women here. That tells
There have
you.
always been more men attending Women's Forum. That's been a record, always. Thank you, and thank you all the men for attending. Dr. Manogna, Dr. Preeti, okay, Dr. Preeti Opala. Dr. Manogna. Dr. Juby Jacob. Dr. Shanta Kumari. Dr. Meenakshi Martin. All the ladies. Oh. Okay, Dr. Meher Medavaram.
Dr. Seema Arora. Dr. Udaya Shivangi.
We want a group photo. So all the speakers and all the panelists and the committee, please.
Please don't go away. Please be seated. We are going to start the excellent session now, the CEO Forum. And I would request all the speakers of the CEO Forum to please come on to the dais. All the CEO, Dr. Chalil.
Yeah, very God. No, I had a question for the speaker, but it's not a time because of your program ran late. That's why everything messed up. But it was a good program. That were not answered. Right? But you worked hard. I wrote a question and all, Robert.
Yes, we want you on any chair you like.
I'll wait for somebody else.
Good afternoon. May I request the CEO Forum speakers to take the dais? Yeah, sure. Good afternoon. If you could all please be seated. We're going to have an excellent session of the CEO Forum. This is going to be a very impactful event. And we have with us 16 who is who in healthcare sitting with you. And so since we are running a bit behind, we want to start. We have a very packed program. Is loaded or not yet? Thank you. Let me welcome Dr. Anupama Gotimukla, our AAPI president, to open the session for the CEO Forum. Dr. Anupama, please.
Thank you, Dr. Chalil. And I request everyone to be seated and reduce the noise level. Everybody kindly, please be seated. All right. I request everybody to be seated. We have the best CEO forum today. I mean, we are so lucky to have the greatest achievers and those who are doing great to the healthcare industry. And we are here to present ourselves the best CEO forum of the Global Health Summit, 15th Global Health Summit. And I have journalists here who are listening to us, what we say. And every word we say here is very, very precious. And we are here to change the world and the healthcare, how healthcare should be. And we put a lot of thought for this theme this year on the prevention aspect. This is what we are lacking right now in India. As we see a difference in the Western world and the Eastern world, there is some difference. And we thought that prevention is something we need to focus more. And we have excellent technology now. And that's what we say, can we transform the healthcare using the technology platform? And I welcome all the dignitaries on the stage. And let us start the session. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anupama. I just want to say, welcome all of you to this 15th Global Healthcare Summit CEO Forum. We've done it multiple times before. I want to thank our sponsors very well, Mr. Gaurav Agarwal, Mr. Narayana Rao Sripada, and Dr. Niyas Mohammed. Thank you so much for your sponsorship. Again, we have an agenda. We have an action item after this event. You will be listening to all these leaders. But apart from that, this is not just a discussion and you walk away. We will have a memorandum as a result of this meeting. We will be appealing to the government of India, to the Prime Minister's office, to set up a preventive task force in this country. So let me show you the agenda for today. I know we are running behind in time, so we will try to be as short as possible. Again, I don't need to read the slides to you. We will be, again, myself, I'm Dr. Joseph Chalil. I'm a professor back in Nova Southeastern University in Florida. I chair the business school and work for the medical school there. And I've written a book which is in health policy, and next one coming out. So my passion is in preventive health because 25 years ago, when I lived here in India, I was an MBBS student, as many of you were, and when in second year MBBS, my father died of a heart attack. And if we had a preventive exam, if we knew before he was a cardiac patient, we could have saved his life. I see many patients nowadays, breast cancer, cervical cancer, diabetes, hypertension, all diagnosed very late in their cycle, so that we can't do nothing for them. When people are diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, no matter which latest center we have, it just doesn't help. So I'm hoping, it's not about me speaking. We want to listen to all these leaders here. So we're gonna give them each 5 minutes to make their case, and then we'll have a discussion at the end, and we'll try to wrap it up in next 2 hours or so. So let me, without further delay, this is one thing which Dr. Anupama has been supporting, the preventive health. We had an op-ed which came out in the Sunday Guardian, which started this, and thank you so much for making it an AAPI agenda, because this is critical, because with having an AAPI agenda will make it work. So this started the event, and then thereby the AAPI conference and all these things. So thank you so much. Without your leadership, this wouldn't have happened. We were supposed to have Professor Nalapat here, who is the vice chair of Manipal and the ex-chief editor of Sunday Guardian. But unfortunately, he couldn't travel, so he left us a strong video message. Let's have a listen to him. Can you get the audio? Sorry.
I'm honored to have been invited by the President and the office bearers, including my very dear friend, Dr. Joseph Chalil, to speak at this 15th conference of the AAPI. Your organization is extremely important. Important because the members of this organization have dedicated their lives to healing people and to ensuring that individuals are able to have a productive life. They are dedicated to the cause not only of curing, but of preventing illnesses from coming about. They are dedicated to the cause of finding breakthroughs in methods of treatment, methods of care, methods of aftercare. Not only finding new such ways, but refining existing ways so that these existing ways may work better. This is something which the AAPI members have been doing across the United States for so many decades, and which is among the many reasons why, if I may say so, it's one of the most important reasons why there is such a warm and good feeling about India in civil society in the United States, just as there is about the United States in civil society in India. Let's not worry about the attitudes of governments. For a long time in India, certainly until Prime Minister Modi came along, there was some distance between Delhi and Washington. And a lot of that was caused by the fact that in Cold War 1.0, between the United States and the USSR, India was very definitely tilting towards the Soviet Union. And in many ways, it was on the Soviet side. Let's be honest and admit that. Today, we are in the era of Cold War 2.0, between the United States principally and China principally. And Cold War 2.0 is dedicated on one side to dominating the Indo-Pacific, dominating the Eurasian landmass, and after that, dominating the rest of the world, including the far shores of the Atlantic Ocean, where the United States lies across from Europe. And the other strong group, which is basically united in seeking to ensure a free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific, a Eurasian landmass that is not under the control of a single power. We have lived through that very short unipolar moment when the United States was the sole superpower. That's over now. Well, unipolarity is not the future of mankind. Multipolarity is. Multi-ethnicity is. As diversity is. The diversity of opinion, the diversity of thought, the diversity of action that is so common in democracies and which is sought to be restricted in authoritarian dictatorships. Well, we do not want to replace the American unipolar moment, brief though it was in the 1990s, with a unipolar, not a moment, it could be a minute, an hour, who knows, of an authoritarian power, a power in which entire control is with a single party, and a single party controlled by a single group of individuals, and that group largely directed by one individual. We do not want that situation, definitely not in the Eurasian continent, definitely not in the Indo-Pacific, definitely not in the Atlantic, definitely not anywhere else. But that will kill democracy. It will kill the foundation of knowledge, which is freedom of thought, of expression, of belief, of diet, of dress, of lifestyle that is cherished by we in India and the citizens of the United States. I would like to say that I am deeply honored to be here today for the simple reason that in the era of Cold War 2.0, it is essential that India and the United States fashion a strong partnership. In this partnership, the organization that you represent is, if I may say so, one of the strongest buckles binding together the two greatest democracies in the world. Through your service, through your example, through the glory of the science to which you belong, you have created an immense fund of goodwill in the United States for India. And if I may say so, through interaction with your family and friends back home, and you come visiting the mother country, your ancestral country, every so often, and that's a very welcome thing. You ensure that we in India understand that the United States is a complex and wonderful democracy, as people in the US understand India is a complex and wonderful democracy. In this geopolitical world of Cold War 2.0, one of the most important instruments of freedom, make no mistake about it, is the AAPI. The work it represents, the example it sets, the vision it has is among the strongest weapons that we as democracies have to ensure the partnership of India and the United States as we navigate the turbulent world of Cold War 2.0 and the complex world of the 21st century. I would like to say only one thing. Once again, express my gratitude for having invited me, express my thanks for that. And I would like to say, God bless my country, India. God bless the United States. God bless the AAPI. And may I say, God bless humanity, the humanity that we all seek to serve. Namaskar, Jai Hind.
Thank you, Professor Nalapad. Let me introduce Dr. Jubi Nara. Again, she's the Vice President, Head of Medical, Respiratory Allergy Gastroenterology at Sanofi Genzyme. She's a public health physician involved in developing specialty pharmaceuticals, vaccines, biologicals, and even direct-to-consumer products. And she has been a part of 50 new medicines successfully launched, including vaccines in the US and globally. Dr. Jubi, thank you so much for flying from US to be here at COVID time. So welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Again, thanks for this opportunity to be here and to be able to address this group of partners. That's what I call it, all partners in this. those of you who heard me speak earlier at the Women's Forum, that was directed with one goal in mind, and that was really to make improvement and continue the continuum of our movement. But here at the CEO Forum, what I want to focus on again is the theme of prevention, focusing on how we can use technology to improve that. And some things that unfortunately are happening despite what we all know as physicians and those of us who have exposure. So essentially, prevention, breast cancer, cervical cancer, things like all diseases associated with smoking, heart disease, COPD. These are things that we can all prevent or detect early enough so that we can reduce morbidity and mortality. And in this partnership, it's not just the physicians. There are so many industries out there that are either producing products to help decrease this or to treat this. I think it's important to leverage those partnerships. And in today's digital world, it is important to optimize that digital technology. We can reach more people. We can help increase awareness. It's not just so, I see Indian movies, for instance, and sometimes they say, oh, smoking is injurious to your health. That's not going to do anything to somebody who's going to watch a movie. They'll be like, okay, move on. If you don't show them the consequences of smoking and show them what can happen because of it, it's not going to change them. As a student, when I did my MBBS, when they were chopping off the mandible because of cancer here, given the smoking exposure, that made a difference. If you think about it, if that person saw that, knew that way before, would they have considered more in trying to stop? When I landed in Delhi on the 3rd of January, I came out of the airport and we have to go through customs immigration. It's this huge line. And while there's no smoking there, I smelled so much smoke. So that tells me the people that were there definitely did smoke because they were oozing that smell. And it's not just active smoking. What about the effects of passive smoking? COPD is still in the top 3 in many countries. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, where finally you just can't breathe anymore. We need to effect change. And I work in a pharmaceutical company, as do many others, even if we're physicians or those that are not in the medical line, but other areas. Partnerships with pharmaceutical companies are relevant. So as physicians, we should push for that. So I step in the physician realm, and I'm also in the business realm. We need to have partnerships with these people so that we can promote what needs to happen, and that is wellness, health, reduction of morbidity and mortality. And again, it's not just smoking. There are many areas, so that's just one big impactful area. But in India, let's think about the enormous diseases that are taking a toll on our people, especially those of lower socioeconomic strata, who do not know, who are not able, or maybe can't afford it. Let's go out there and do more. So with that being said, again, thank you so much. And I hope that we can all continue to partner to make the changes we need to see. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Juby. And without much delay, let me invite Dr. Anuj Maheshwari. Dr. Maheshwari, Professor Maheshwari is the current governor of the American College of Physicians India chapter and the vice president of research for Society for the Diabetes of India. He's a fellow of the AC, American College of Endocrinology. He's a trained diabetologist and a metabolic physician, professor and head of internal medicine, BBD University, Ghaziabad Road, Lucknow, honorary physician and diabetologist, Sri Hari Kamal Diabetes and Care and Research Center, Jeevan Sahara, Lucknow. So welcome, Dr.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. First of all, greetings from the American College of Physicians of India chapter. Although I am also from RSSDI people has talked yesterday. So I shall be representing today from American College of Physicians India chapter. And I shall be talking about how can we really work together to make the health conditions better in India. AAPI is definitely a new forum for me. I'm listening for the first time the people or members of the AAPI today, attending the first time, and it is altogether a different meeting. A number of inspirational thoughts and number of inspirational words I have listened since from morning session. But when we talk about the healthcare challenges in India, what the biggest challenge we find, that is the population. We are carrying 1 billion and more, and this is the second most populous country in the world, which is having the death rate definitely declining, but the birth rate is not coming down. It is going on the rise and rise. And we are really making our healthcare system overburdened. Despite producing 67,000 doctors every year, our doctor population ratio is at half mark what is suggested, because most of us join AAPI. So that is the biggest issue, because we are not giving them better quality of the living standards, better quality of the system here. For that, we has got this problem. And when we started this pandemic, all have been exposed. Healthcare system has come onto the actual where we could really found it is crashed with this pandemic. And why did it happen? Because we were really not knowing when this is going to happen. We were not using our healthcare facilities before enough. Because of not using those healthcare facilities, we were not actually prepared for the pandemic kind of the situation. Our population is poor, our population is less educated, illiterate. They don't know what the facilities government has made. They never go to the primary healthcare centers. They never go to the doctors for their routine problems. Many of the times, even they don't go for the birth of the child to the hospitals. So when the pandemic has come and they were not finding anything there, they were really helpless, and the healthcare system has got really crashed like anything. But we know that awareness drives works. In India, 25 years before, nobody was knowing and nobody was expecting that we shall be able to stop smoking at the public places, but we did. We stopped the smoking at public places, and not by making the fine, but by making the awareness. Now you cannot do the smoking at public places. So definitely the awareness works, and we can do really work together to make the awareness more and people more for this healthcare system to be having their faith in this healthcare system. Health expenditure is definitely much lesser in country. In our country, people think that this is going to be the dead loss. They don't think that is going to be give some outcome. That's why many people don't invest in the healthcare. Even government also don't remain very much interested to investing to the healthcare system. Poor patient-doctor relationship, we know that, and most of the expenditure which is being done and whatever the contribution is coming, that is from the private sectors. So what is the problem? Problem is that our primary healthcare system is at the verge of collapse. Our primary healthcare system is actually not working. In the 75 years of the independence, we have made this primary healthcare system up to the 70s or 90s quite good. But after that, when post-graduation has become the competition and everyone wanted to become the tertiary care system, nobody is willing to go for the primary healthcare, then primary healthcare started collapsing. And we don't have any way how to make it better. Another important problem for India is that we are not having enough amount of the publication. We are not having the good quality of the research. And you people from the AAPI can help us in doing that. You can guide us and you can tell the right thing to the Indian counterparts of your friends, that how to do the data keeping, how to get out of that data's good amount of the research. I was reading that AAPI is interested to make the guidelines for the prevention of the diseases with the Indian doctors. But where would these guidelines come? We don't have our robust data. We don't have enough number of the people, those who are having the diseases in India. We are bound to have our guidelines on the basis of the data which is coming from the West. So until unless we are not having our own data, this will not really be very much effective, and whatever the guidelines we shall be making would not be very much real for the people of our country. What is the problem with the Indian research? Indian research is mostly the unidirectional. Mostly it is for the personalized gain. It is not for the population gain. We don't do the research for the industry. We don't do the research for the public. We do either it's for the industry or it is for our own promotion. So until unless we shall not be doing the research for the people, this thing will never be changed. So now it is the time we should think about the collaborative research. And collaborative research means from the different parts of the country, we can start getting the data which can be pooled at one place, and then we can have some ideas of that which may help us making our own guidelines, which will improve our healthcare system, and we can really get the right direction for our people, those who are practicing in India, and probably then they won't move from out of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Maheshwari. Dr. Karthik Anandaraman couldn't be here in person, but he's the Chief Operating Officer of Roche. Without further delay, let's listen to his message.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Karthik Anandaraman, and I am the Chief Operating Officer at Roche. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Joseph Chalil, also Dr. Anupama, Dr. Rudhya for inviting me to this American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin 15th Annual Global Healthcare Summit. It's indeed a pleasure to be a part of this prestigious event. I do understand I would have loved to come there in person and present, but given the new rise in the cases during the COVID pandemic and potentially a third wave, I'm joining virtually nevertheless, but definitely really look forward to a fantastic event. I do understand the key theme for this conference is technology, telemedicine, and technology transformation in healthcare. So I thought of actually making a quick presentation on what my observations have been working in the pharma industry, the medtech industry, in terms of how physicians are looking at digital transformation. So I think technology also is not just about connecting a physician with the patient during the course of the pandemic or beyond, as to how we can actually enable healthcare services to reach the periphery. Technology also has its due bit in terms of making sure that physicians have got their strong digital footprint in terms of having a very strong online presence, which actually drives a lot of patient traffic to physicians, to their clinics, to their offices, to their OPDs as well. And we've seen that happen with some of the very accomplished clinicians. So I wish to share a brief presentation here, which actually talks about how digital transformation is happening amongst physicians and what are some of the key learnings for industry at large, including medtech companies, pharma companies, etc. So here is a brief presentation that I wish to make, and this presentation is thanks to BCG, and BCG, or the Boston Consulting Group, as we see, is basically has made a very nice analysis on what are the key trends that they see in the pharma industry in terms of having digital engagement through pharma. So I would just share my screen, and this is a brief presentation that talks about key insights about how digital transformation has happened during the course of the pandemic. So you can see doctors are having changing expectation from pharma, and these changes are here to stay. Across the board, be it internal medicine, infectious disease, oncology, outpatient subspecialties, primary care, we are seeing that most physicians prefer to keep or increase the share of virtual interactions with industry, and that is great. And this is the same behavior that they are actually showcasing with patients as well. In the past, patients used to come for their initial workup and for their follow-up, and now we are seeing that the initial workup, though many doctors prefer to be in person, the follow-up visits is something that they're actually doing virtually. And there are a lot of technology and tools that are available to make this happen. Having said that, the preference for virtual engagement has significantly increased during the course of the pandemic, and you can see there are multiple digital platforms that have enabled it. But doctors are looking at it as a hybrid model, right? So there is a combination of one face-to-face and a few virtual. I think that's the key preference, what we see coming up from doctors. And across the board, the doctor's appetite for multiple types of digital channels are seen across all specialties of doctors. And you can see here multiple speaker programs, personal visit by the medical science liaison, training webinars, third-party physician portals, and we have DocPlexes, Curofy, some very interesting, curated content-based medical and clinical portals for physicians, which are really, really growing very well. Especially during the pandemic, and they've shown very significant digital traction. And of course, the right leverage of social media to share clinical case studies, etc. So therefore, channels, what really drives this interest or sustains the interest is the quality of content. Therefore, channels that are rich in content are considered to be more effective by MD physicians while they're interacting with the medical and science personnel of the industry. But having said that, as I told you, it's more of a virtual interplay or a balance between virtual visits and the physical visits. But yes, definitely the world is changing. For new launch products, personal visits are still preferred in the initial phase, but the follow-up conversations and communications could very well be virtual, and that's the trend that most physicians are kind of preferring. Mass emails and lack of personalization is one of the pain points. So therefore, what the key learning is that physicians are now preferring to receive more personalized and customized communication that is relevant to their clinical practice. And I think that's a no-brainer for the industry. And you will now see a lot of curated, customized content being discussed digitally during virtual meetings, webinars, etc. However, there are big gaps between the perceived value of the content and what doctors actually receive. So therefore, this once again kind of goes on to say that the more curated the content is, which is aligned to the clinical practice of that particular doctor, that is customization of content and customized content delivery, that is seen to be adding more value to a physician's clinical practice. So this is basically that the share of virtual patient interactions, and here is where I think telemedicine comes in. I do know that there are platforms like Practo, the DocPlexes, PlexusMD, Docs app, who've really grown exponentially, almost up to 6 to 8 to 10x in terms of their traffic of virtual teleconsultations being enabled between doctors and patients, and that trend is here to stay, and it's across the board, across all specialties. Earlier, telemedicine was seen to be a specialty that was primarily being used by specific specialties where face-to-face is not a must, like maybe dermatology, psychiatry, psychosocial counseling, etc. But now across the board, including super specialty like oncology, nephrology, cardiology, people are saying that the first visit be physical in person with a detailed clinical examination, but the routine follow-up visits could very well be, through virtual teleconsultation calls. And that is being very clearly enabled. That also creates opportunity for cloud-based EMR or electronic medical record data upkeep. And that's another great opportunity that people are looking at. So the patient volumes are back to normal, almost normal. So we see that the OPDs are almost now full, back to pre-COVID levels. And hence this fine balance between in-person consultation and telemedicine-enabled virtual consultation actually plays a very important role for the doctor to be able to manage the finite time that he or she would have in clinic. So therefore, net to net, technology is here to stay. Physicians see extremely and a lot of time being, they are able to prioritize their time, have what we typically call as a much better work-life balance through technology. And therefore, I really feel that telemedicine technology and technology partnerships and communication between physician and the patient, where the patient can report side effects, new efficacy or safety signals they see directly to the doctor. There are platforms like Juvoxa that enables that. And technology-led communication and interaction and engagement between pharma, medtech, industry as a whole with physician is here to stay. And this is a great trend going forward as well. So indeed, it's a great opportunity to talk to this elite audience. Once again, I thank Dr. Chalil and team for this opportunity and look forward, and I wish this conference huge success. Thank you once again, and I look forward to meeting all of you very soon. Namaskar.
Thank you, Karthik. Let me invite Dr. Guraba Reddy. Dr. Reddy is the founder and chairman of the Sunshine Hospitals, Indian orthopedic surgeon and a joint replacement expert. He's a founder of a 300-bed multi-specialty hospital here in Hyderabad, he's local. He's one of the leading surgeons and performs about 4,000 joint replacements per year. In addition, he has made efforts to increase the awareness and acceptance of joint replacement surgery in India. Dr. Reddy.
Good afternoon, everyone. At the outset, let me thank the AAPI members for giving me this opportunity and privilege. I think over the last 2 days, you must be seeing and hearing a lot of what can be done and what is wrong with the Indian healthcare system. For the next 3 minutes, I'm going to tell what is good about healthcare system. Because I want to be optimistic, and I always like to believe, and we all should believe that glass is half empty rather than half full. I was born to a middle-class family. My father is optimistically pessimistic. If I don't come from the college half an hour late, the first thing he wants my brothers to go and see his mortuary. So that much pessimistic he is. But I'm so happy that my genetics is taken from my mother. So I'm very optimistic, unlike my father. In 1980, when my brother, who is right now in Texas College Station as a dean of A&M University, he had a heart problem, 1980, that is 40 years back. And I had to take him to Christian Medical College, Vellore, for an angiography. Now, I can proudly say that Hyderabad has got the highest number of cath labs in India. So there is no dearth of technology and medical facilities now here. Unlike my predecessor, sir, sorry, I'm taking the other aspect. You're told what is wrong here. I'm trying to tell what is good here. And medical colleges, when I was medical school student, in 1977, I got into medical school. And my senior, Dr. Lokesh, is here. And he was my senior in Guntur Medical College. At that time, we have only 5 medical colleges in Andhra Pradesh. And there are again quota. The Guntur students can apply only for Guntur and Visakhapatnam. That's all. And there is a lot of fragmentation. And Kakinada Rangaraya Medical College was a donation. At that time, the capitation was 50,000. We couldn't afford that. But now, if any student wants to genuinely get into medical school in India, the whole India is open. The whole India is a pan-India. Medical seats are available. You can go and study all over India, wherever you want, provided you have the gumption and the inclination to be the medical student. The third thing is, the medical colleges are more now, the medical seats are more now, and the teaching facilities are much better than in the past. When I was doing one obstetric textbook written by Mudaliyar, and then another orthopedic textbook written by Dr. Vyagreswarudu, in one page you can have 120 printing mistakes. But now you got excellent digitalized books, written beautifully, formatted beautifully, very pictorial. Everything is available for a medical student in India. And coming to the opportunities, when we were medical students and when we graduated, there were not many. People used to flock to America or England, but now whole world is open. Not only the world, even in India, there are many opportunities for a graduate if he wants to pursue the career. There are a lot of pharma opportunities. You can go into the research. You can go into, just like our the president of the pharmaceutical companies are there. A lot of doctors are in demand. They can go into public health. They can go into corporate hospitals. A good qualified doctor is worth 5 lakh rupees a month now. A good postgraduate in India. There is no dearth of it. An orthopedic surgeon, my branch, I always tell, as far as these roads and vehicles are there in India, a properly baked MS orthopedic surgeon can earn 5 lakh rupees a month right from the year 1. So no more the doctors need to starve. So opportunities are more now. And all surgeries can be done fraction of cost here. I'm a robotic joint replacement surgeon. I do 4,000 joint replacements here. I do 25 to 30 joint replacements robotics in India one day. And this is a fraction of cost. A robotic joint replacement in New York costs, let us say, $25,000. And here it costs not more than $5,000. The same implant, the same technology, the same expertise. So that is why medical tourism is much more. And for your kind information, starting from the lung transplants, the liver transplants, kidney transplant, heart transplants, you ask for anything which is done in America, that is done in India. As simple as that. And I'm sorry to say that a lot of my brothers and sisters who are in America have got a very skewed impression about the critical care and the intensive care of the India. No doubt, I admit that we have got a long way to go, but still the picture was not that dismal when you left India. Now, even critical care departments are much, much better. They save thousands of lives, and COVID is one of the classical examples. The way our critical care people, the way our healthcare professionals in the corporate setup, including the government setup, Subhakar is here, my junior, who was the chief of respiratory medicine in government setup, the way we tackle the pandemic is definitely commendable, except for second wave when there was a bit of a hiccup, but that's always there. So the way we dealt with COVID is tremendous. And third thing is, this is at a fraction of cost. The outcomes are the same. And then doctor-patient relationship. In America or England, I was in England for 10 years. After Friday, 5 o'clock, nobody can reach me. But here, once you are a doctor, patient can reach me 24/7. You might think it is a burden, but I think it's a privilege. So that is the doctor-patient relationship, which is nowhere found in the world, except in India. And I'm sure, and I'm very proud to say, all the Indian doctors of AAPI are the most sought after in America. Am I right? Same is the case with England, because you put the heart into your practice, unlike others. So that is the beauty of our this one. Coming to the primary healthcare, no doubt there is still a long way to go. All is not hunky-dory. But having said that, we have moved a long way. If you see the positives, the infant mortality rate is much less, and the life expectancy is much higher. The availability of the healthcare facilities are, if anybody travels 100 kilometers now, there is a specialist in India. I can tell that. There is nowhere in the, like in the past, no doubt there are some segments or corners, but there's very few. Any woman, if she wants, she can have a proper delivery in a proper gynecologically based healthcare center. So coming to the technology, what we are talking now, as I said, we got all the technology available. There are telemedicine available. There are smartphones. The highest number of smartphones are in India. Even in a Bombay, Dharavi slum, people have a smartphones. They go online to order Nike footwear. Okay, so that's it. So these guys have got smartphones. Now they are looking into healthcare. They are asking for doctors. Practo. There are 25% of the Practo people are from the rural places. So these people know how to reach the doctors. So there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel. And India is definitely a better place for healthcare now. There is no doubt about that. And the whole globe is looking at India because the numbers we have are tremendous. And the way we deal with these numbers is unparalleled. Nobody can do that. And that is in a democratic country. Unlike China. China, you are forced, but here it is a voluntary thing. So I am proud of my country. I am proud of my doctors. I am proud of my nurses. I am proud of my healthcare system. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reddy. Let me invite Dr. Vikas Bhatia. Dr. Bhatia is the director of All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Hyderabad and the founder, dean of AIIMS Bhubaneswar since 2019 or till 2019. He has been instrumental in commencing the OPD and teleconsultation facilities, developing 19 departments, labs, ICUs, executing indoor and COVID care service in AIIMS Hyderabad. So, Dr. Bhatia.
Good evening, everybody. My great pleasure to be here among the distinguished professionals, doctors from US and many from Hyderabad and Telangana and neighboring states. I was going through the brochure and the activities. The theme is adopting a village. When I was a medical student, I was planning to become a medical student. I used to live in Chandigarh at that time, and there was no medical college in Chandigarh where I could do MBBS. Because Chandigarh people, they don't have the domicile. That time it was very strict for Punjab or for Haryana. So I had to appear and I reached Sevagram. That's the Mahatma Gandhi Medical College, Institute of Medical Sciences in Sevagram. And that was the only medical institute which was located and meant for the rural communities. For the first time, we were taught there that adopting the villages as a medical student and bringing some change in that, that's the kind of training we had over there. So I was feeling very happy that now so many years have gone by and we still are struggling to reach to our rural communities in the country. When we see the transformation in our country, in India, we all, why I was telling that there was no medical college in Chandigarh, that's in 1981. A place which is that time, which even now is well ahead in terms of per capita and facilities. But today, our leadership in our country, they want one medical college in each district. That's the plan, in each district. And we have almost many districts have many colleges and few districts may not have any. But the plan is that every medical college will be located in every district of this country. So that's one thing. And every state will have one AIIMS. We used to have one AIIMS. We all have grown up and seen only one AIIMS, which we have seen for last 6 decades, 65, 66 years old now. But now gradually we are reaching out to closer to the people now. Everyone who can in a village from Telangana reach to AIIMS New Delhi. It's not possible. I tell you, even people will hesitate even when we have the full functional AIIMS in Hyderabad, which is about 40-30 kilometers from the city, that's called Bibi Nagar area, on the Hyderabad-Warangal highway. It will still be very difficult for the rural people to reach to that place. The question is that we learned, we have seen it, how we can reach closer to the people, because the common man, a poor man, still cannot afford the medical which needs a lot of attention, which needs a lot of money, which needs a lot of skill-based professional approach and management. Even if we are planning, I was in the AIIMS Bhubaneswar as Dean, and when I joined there in 2012, we worked from the tin shed for 1 year. Today it is one of the, after New Delhi AIIMS, it is one of the most reputed institution and sought after, and it is imparting all specialties and specialties, MCS, DMs and all that. We started 57, 58 courses over there in that period. Now I have been given responsibility to establish this institute in Telangana, because Telangana came in formation in 14 and the government wanted here that they should also have their own AIIMS. It's relatively very new. The third batch of MBBS will be joining soon, and we have starting admissions for the MD will also begin in January. Students will be joining. And when I meet people, I am not able to understand a little bit of Telugu, but when I meet people, and it's located in a very underprivileged, poor people in that place, just close to Hyderabad. Just move out and see that what is the situation. Not only 40-50 kilometers, we are not going far away from Telangana. Just meet and see. People are so happy there to find that services have reached to them. Within few days, within few weeks and months, we see so many people are coming and hoping. And when the Omicron is knocking, in the second wave, we didn't have anything. We were struggling to even get the oxygen cylinders. We didn't have any indoor, but people came forward, they helped us. But now we are prepared in between. We have our ICU. We have prepared for the 100 beds with the oxygen concentrators, and we got 2 oxygen plants from the government of India. We have started OT. So whatever services we could do, but it is definitely services which are going very close to the people, to the rural people, to the underserved communities. And look at them, they feel so happy. I have seen those poor people in Bhubaneswar, people coming from West Bengal, many districts, and standing at 4 o'clock in the morning, 6 hours for waiting for the OPD slip. Sometimes they put a stone that, that's the kind of queue they make. It's very surprising when you work and see how the people aspire and how we are able to reach out to them. Now, as far as technology is concerned, we need to relook at the teaching and training program also, because COVID has taught us many lessons. And we are possibly hoping that the COVID will be over in this year, 2022, and scientific evidences may, if until there is a mutation, we hope that in next 6 months or 8 months, we are free of this COVID from the entire world. We are proud of our nation because we are the one who has got one of the largest campaign against the vaccination, against the COVID vaccination going on in our nation. Just 3 days back, this has started for the adolescent boys and girls, 15 to 18 years. And today I have to speak on Doordarshan also. And they are so excited, the young boys and girls. They are very happy to come to the hospital and getting vaccinated. We started from 3rd Jan. What we need to do is that 3-4 things if we can really get some help. And I'm very happy that there is a lot of difference within these states. I've worked in north, south, east, west, all parts of the country, traveled across the country and close to the people, including Uttar Pradesh, traveled 55 districts. So I can understand what is the need and what people need. People, even if we have a full functional 45 specialties and super specialty hospital functional in next 2 to 3 years, even close to AIIMS, close to Hyderabad, people will still hesitate to come because they can feel lost in a big hospital. So how this gap can be filled up, how we can reach close to the people, the entire Telangana can be reached within 5 to 6 hours. Hyderabad is nearly in the center of the Telangana. So sometimes I feel that when we have a full functional hospital, which is giving nearly free treatment to the poor patients, free education to the medical students, is totally free and is very well made, then people sitting 300, 400, 200, 300 kilometers away from this institute, how will he come here and get the treatment? So we need to make a mechanism, because the super specialist and the specialist will still not go. We have been talking and talking about this, but this gap will still remain. So we need to go closer to them. We need to take medical care, health care closer to them. Our primary health system has improved, but still it is lacking, is way behind. We need to develop point of care technology, diagnostics and therapeutics. We need to develop the digital care. We need to have the platforms. We have e-Sanjeevani during the COVID, and those platforms we used, where because patients were reluctant to come, and we were also, doctors, the OPDs were closed during the second and first wave. So all that really helped. So COVID has taught us many things. So these are the things, lessons which we have learned. And so thank you very much. And we hope that through this organization, we need a lot of collaboration. We look forward to that. And one of the main area, one theme which is in the mind of the government of India is on the research collaboration. How we can reach, because a lot of institutions are even within the state here also, but we work in isolation, we don't work together. So we need to look at many more things and sit together, look at the technology which is there. So thank you very much. We hope to have a COVID-free world in 2022. With these words, I once again say thank you and wish you all a very happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bhatia. Let me invite Dr. Gaurav Agarwal, and he's the Managing Director of IITPL and co-founder of Innovation Healthcare Private Limited, with a targeted turnover of 200 crores in 2022. And he's among the top 15 medtech manufacturers in the country, out of nearly 1,000 manufacturers. 20 plus years of experience in nurturing, leading, and scaling up startups. Gaurav, please.
Usually my voice is loud enough. I don't need mics, but a very good evening, everyone. A very good evening to all the eminent CEOs on the panel and the eminent attendees. I'm very thankful to AAPI and especially Dr. Joseph Chalil for making me a part of this elite forum. I'd like to begin my address with a small disclosure. I'm perhaps one of the only non-physicians in the group. I'm not a doctor. So if there are any inconsistencies in my presentation, please pardon that and blame it on the lack of my medical education. My name is Gaurav Agrawal. I'm the founder of Involution, which is a cardiovascular care-focused company, one of the fastest growing medical device companies in the country, and the managing director of IITPL, Asia's most awarded cath lab manufacturing company based out of Bangalore. Since the beginning of my career, I've spent nearly quarter of a century in cardiovascular devices and equipments. So I'm going to be focusing my talk largely on prevention and management of cardiovascular disease. It's extremely well known. So what I'm going to do today is I'm extremely inspired by what Dr. Gurva said today. And he brought a lot of optimism to the dais. And I'm going to cut short my actual talk, which was on prevention of CVD, and just spend about 2.5 minutes at the end of my address to tell you how the new India is shaping in terms of medtech. I only know medical devices, and I want to share that optimism with a lot of you who are not from India. So very quick, disease mortality lose in Indians, which is quarter of all deaths in the country. And if we were to just estimate the magnitude of this problem, you know, in the 2+ years of pandemic, we've lost about 5 lakh Indians, according to the official data. And cardiovascular disease alone kills 30 lakh Indians every year, 6 times the number of the pandemic that has shook the entire world. That is the proportion of the disease. Now, ischemic heart disease and stroke form nearly 80% of the disease burden. I was planning to talk about a lot of other things, but I'll just curtail this talk because at the end of this, I want to spend 3 minutes on telling you how India is in the best place for the next 10 years to be the medtech capital of the world, like it is the pharmacy of the world today. So India is estimated to have nearly 60 million patients suffering from cardiovascular disease, which is a very startling statistic but what is more alarming and distressing is that the disease has started manifesting extremely early, you know, in the most productive lifespan of a person. So according to Dr. C.N. Manjunath, the director of Jayadeva Padma Shri Awardee, he says, gone are the days when the son used to bring the father to the cath lab. Now, the father brings the son to the cath lab. The average age of patients that he sees is below 40 years. And so it's proven today that whether it is heart attack or heartbreak, men are far more vulnerable. So that was on the lighter side, the latter being from experience. So I'm not going to talk about anything else. I represent the medical device space, and I'll only talk about some of the things, some of the initiatives that the government is taking to make India, or at least start the journey that began for pharmaceutical 20 years ago. The Indian government has been a huge source of support during the pandemic. When the pandemic struck in February, we got a call. I was part of a panel from Niti Aayog, and the government said that you're a medical electronics manufacturer, but we have no capacity in manufacturers, oxygen concentrators, and several other equipments, N95 masks, you name it, and we had PPE kits. And today I'm proud to say that India manufactures 80% of the global ventilator demand. And in Visakhapatnam, there is the largest medtech park in the world, Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone, which is a shining example of what can be done with the right vision and execution. It is brilliantly led by a visionary, Dr. Jiten Sharma. We have the capacity to produce 2 lakh ventilators a year. We produce more than India's. India does about 11 lakh RT-PCR tests a day. And one lab, Mall Biodiagnostics in Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone, produces 18 lakh tests every day. More than India's everyday demand is produced in Vizag alone. India had a need for 60,000 oxygen concentrators. There are 2.5 lakh oxygen concentrators being built in Vizag alone. So I just want to tell you that all is not lost. I think the government this is the most enabling time for someone to be a medical device manufacturer. And I would strongly urge this elite forum that this is the time for you to nurture startups like ourselves. I mean, we are not a startup anymore, but there are 300 incubators in the country nurturing 6,000 medtech companies in some small form or shape. I would strongly encourage you to encourage them with seed capital. And India today is at $25 billion odd in terms of the medical device market, and slated to get to $500 billion by 2025. So we are growing at a compounded annual growth rate of 28%. I'm extremely proud of having contributed very humbly to that growth. And I tell you that in the next 10 to 15 years, I believe we are on the cusp of a revolution, and India will also become the medical device capital of the world, like it is the pharmacy of the world. Thank you very much for patient listening. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Agarwal, and thank you so much. I see Dr. Sangeeta Reddy is here as well, CMD of Apollo Hospitals. But let me invite my friend Shekhar Satyaraju, who traveled from US as Senior Director at Takeda Pharmaceuticals. Thank you, Shekhar.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be in Hyderabad, and Hyderabad is very close to my heart. I spent 4 years here for my undergrad. And it's really great to see a vibrant country, right? So if you look at India demographically, more than half of our population is under 30. And this is a phenomenal strength for the country, and this young population would carry us forward in next coming decades. On the other flip side of the coin is this young population will also get older as well, right? And if we connect to the topic for today, which is prevention is better than cure. It's very important to make sure, appropriate diagnosis is there so that we can prevent a lot of catastrophic events down the line. When I was trying to think of a framework, what we need to do to ensure this prevention, so I could think of 4 pillars. And those 4 pillars map very nice with AAPI name, AAPI. So first one that came to my mind was awareness, right? So awareness is exceptionally important, and more than, a lot of population stays in rural India, so where the awareness is low. We're not even talking about orphan or rare diseases that might take like 8 to 10 years even to get diagnosed, but even for normal kind of diseases, that awareness needs to happen from patient as well as other stakeholders. So the second A of this framework or pillar is access and affordability. So both are very powerful but very important terms, right? So access need to be there in remote areas, and population should be able to afford as well the cost of healthcare. And the third pillar I could think of was P for policy, and our policy need to have teeth, right? So the documents are very well written, but we have to make sure it's implemented very well at grassroots. And the last one is I, which I think stands for innovation and implementation, right? So India has done phenomenally well. And during COVID, we did see many technologies emerging. Telemedicine was really adopted across the world, in India as well. And there are other technologies at play as well that could make access to medicine to people around the country. And the last thing is implementation, right? So it's very important to execute well. So without good execution, we'll always struggle. But I see phenomenal hope for the country, and India has a very, very bright future. And I look forward to working with all of you and the rest of the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shekhar. And let me invite Dr. Aarti of SRLC USA, a former Vice President by Lilly and Company, a board member of NVIDIA Corporation currently, and Northwestern Mutual. Aarti Shah is again, she's a Chief Information and Digital Officer of Eli Lilly. It's extensive experience. I will invite her.
Thanks. First, a very good afternoon to everyone. And I want to start with a heartfelt thanks to AAPI and Dr. Gautamukula for the invitation to come to this event and speak at the CEO Forum. I'm going to start off with first also saying that I strongly support and endorse the proposed Indian Preventive Task Force with the overarching objective of bringing about a transformative change in the medical practice in India, most importantly for all Indians. This is talking about prevention for all the people, all of India. And the summit theme, of course, the T-Cube, right? Technology, telemedicine, and transformation in healthcare. My comments are based from my almost 3 decades of experience in healthcare, pharmaceutical drug development and research, digital health, advanced analytics and data sciences. I'm going to bring in the analytics part too. And I recently retired. I took early retirement for a reason. I'm passionate about this. As Daji talked about this afternoon, I want to go much deeper in my spiritual journey, but also to work with leading NGOs. I'm blessed to work with one of the leading NGOs in India, Srimad Rajchandra Love and Care, who is doing a lot in the medical arena, both not only in terms of treatment, but prevention. And as you talked about partnerships with, partnerships between private, public sector is important, between academia, government is important. Equally important is to say, where are these nonprofits? What are the business models that are working extremely well? And they may be working in small regions, in small districts, small talukas. If they're successful, how do we replicate that? How do we take it to scale? Okay. I want to start also and say that recently the Sunday Guardian article written by you, it has a compelling argument of preventive care and intervention in India, and the impact prevention and routine screening and intervention can make, and the opportunity to save human life. So I want to make 3 points. They're going to be different, but I'm more going to talk about the task force recommendation that AAPI is taking forward to the government of India. As we all know, necessity is the mother of all inventions. And in the last 2 years, we all can attest to the abundance of innovation that we saw during the COVID pandemic. I was blessed to be part of a company where we have seen what it took. This is go back to February, March of 2019, when the whole world changed, whether it was to bring that first drive-through testing, the first diagnostic, the first antibody therapy while the vaccines were being developed, and literally saving thousands of lives. Okay, this was race against death. And the partnerships came to bear, all barriers were taken down, and we came together as society to say, how are we going to attack this pandemic? The question, this may be provocative, but I have for this, the leaders that are sitting in this room is, do you believe that there is a burning platform with respect to prevention in India, and that there's an opportunity to save literally thousands of lives if we do something about prevention? And this is about all Indians, all the people that are living below the poverty line in rural areas, as Judy, you talked about earlier. So that's number one. We manage the moment, okay, we are managing the moment during the COVID crisis. The question is, can this momentum continue? And what can we learn from this chapter in history and apply it to the question at hand? So that's number one. Second, I want to talk about technology definitely is transferring and has transformed every sector, every industry, no question. The innovations in the field of clinical research, in medical devices, in medical diagnostics, telemedicines, no question about it. And I'm very bullish about the opportunities with, as we collect more data, we sit on landmines of data over here in India. As we apply AI and ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, what that could be. I don't have time to go into examples. If we have Q&A, we can go into examples over here, but you look at what has been done in diabetes care and treatment, the algorithms, the future we can think about. Scientific fiction is no more scientific fiction. It is a reality in today's day and world. India, here we have some of the tech giants in this country. How can we bring them into this to innovate in India for India? You have to think about this and make them very, very strong partners along with all the different partners in the value chain. And the third point I'm going to come about, and this could be seen as selfish, but I'm bringing this example from this particular NGO, but we have to think broadly. I think it would be a missed opportunity if we don't bring in the NGOs that are working superbly in India. One particular case, so of course I'm associated with Srimad Rajendra Love and Care, and just 2 days ago, I had the opportunity to go and visit the Srimad Rajendra Hospital, a 100-bed hospital serving the most underprivileged population in the areas of South Gujarat. This is the Dang area, people making hardly $1 or $2, have no means, okay? And they have done something amazing over there. So this is, again, I don't need to preach to a group of physicians the issues, the challenges of nutritional anemia deficiency. When you have parents who conceive and when they are severely anemic, what are the challenges to their health and then to the newborns? And they have put a holistic anemia mitigation project in place. And it's fundamental. Two things are fundamental. The education, the awareness is important. But secondly, they are taking on screening. This goes to prevention, Anupama, as you talk about, but screening of entire population. So their audacious goal is to take 100,000 patients annually in the 3 villages that they have adopted. And in 5 years, you'll have data on 500,000 hyper screening for cancer. Have an electronic fashion and what this potential will be. So that is the power of when we talk about prevention and screening, that is one thing that's important. They kind of deliver 100 to 150 babies a month. Each and every newborn, mind you, each and every newborn goes through a full screening in terms of visual impairment, hearing impairment, the cognitive deficiency, all that stuff. So these little ones, you know, whatever you can protect and make them healthy, because that's the lifelong health of these babies. The reason I bring this up is while we are advising the government of India to put this task force together, it will be probably months or years before the protocols in terms of treatment guidelines for prevention are put together. In parallel, there should be an and. Take NGOs like this who have shown or who are working in, and take them and say, how do we expand them? How do we bring these NGOs together who are working with the workers of ASHA or the Anganwadi workers on the ground and can bring it together to again, get the success stories as the protocols are being put together. So my last point over here is going to be, you know, in terms of just practical advice, when you take on transformations like this, how do you take the theory and the practical together? I've been taught that, okay, think big. It is an audacious goal. Start small, but move fast. We cannot be just debating and debating and debating and discussing this. Partnerships, as many of my colleagues have talked about, is key. And let's bring experiences and partnership together. And lastly, as my spiritual master says and has taught us, you cannot change the whole world, but you can definitely change someone's whole world. Friends, we have an opportunity if we cooperate together, come together, support AAPI's initiative to change the world of literally thousands and millions of Indians. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shah. And I know we have Dr. Sangeeta Reddy here. Again, if anyone knows about innovation and creating well visits, annual physical exams, Apollo did that, you know, decades before executive physicals, you know, all of us were proud of. So let me, because we moved your slide to the last because we weren't sure what time you were arriving, but Dr. Sangeeta Reddy is the global healthcare leader, an Indian entrepreneur, and a humanitarian. She's the joint managing director of Apollo Hospital Enterprises Limited, Asia's largest and most trusted healthcare group. Dr. Sangeeta Reddy is also the immediate past president of the Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, passionately committed to transforming the healthcare system through technological advancements. She accelerates positive transformation for effective healthcare service delivery. Dr. Reddy, please.
Good evening. Thank you for that kind introduction and a namaste to all of you. First, a very, very happy new year. And also equally important, let me congratulate and thank Dr. Anupama for this opportunity to be here and the great leadership she's shown at AAPI. And in the very same breath, let me congratulate every single one of you, members of AAPI, great leaders on the dais, for everything that you have done to contribute to the healthcare of the country and the world. I believe there is no time like the present when healthcare has been so much center stage. The unfortunate events of the last 2 years have made everybody sit up and think about healthcare. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What should we be doing differently? And most importantly, healthcare, which was often left as the responsibility of doctors and hospitals, then became the responsibility of governments and insurance companies, but now finally, corporations, individuals, societies, housing communities, manufacturers, everybody is stepping up to say that we need to do something collectively to transform healthcare in the country and in the world. And so truly, this is our moment. Let's take it. Let's seize this opportunity to transform whatever we believe can happen to make something better of healthcare in the world. And so this is truly such a wonderful forum. And congratulations, Dr. Anupama, for choosing a topic or a theme which is not celebrating the great curative work that doctors of AAPI have done over the years. I mean, you are the best cardiac surgeons, the greatest liver transplant people. We have a fantastic orthopedic doctor sitting here. All of you have done so much in curative care. And yet you boldly come forward and say, let's talk about prevention. And let me share with you that this is something that Dr. Reddy, our chairman, my father, and a good friend to many of you here, has said for many years. For the last 47 years, he ran a program that many people across the country have done consistently. It was then called the Master Health Checkup. He put it together with a colleague of his from Mass General, Dr. David Golick, where they said that some biochemical tests and some radiology tests can predict what is going to happen in the health of can prevent, avert, or delay the onset of a disease. And that was the Master Health Checkup. Multiple clinics, everybody does the Master Health Checkup, and we're very happy to see that proliferation. But we're also a little sad that the word has become slightly bastardized and mostly commercialized, but not truly doing what it's meant to do, which is be truly preventive. So I'm not going to read from, this nice script or thing that I was told to speak on technology, telemedicine, and transformation of healthcare, because I'm very inspired by your theme itself. So I'm going to quickly share a few data points to see if these are relevant in the journey that AAPI is looking to create, and these sharing of thoughts and ideas can become some of the foundation for a more significant partnership that we could kind of bring about. But I will just definitely say one thing, and as the futurist Alvin Toffler said, technology is the great growling engine of change and transformation. And it is for us to make sure that it does not growl as a sound or a noise or a platform on stages, but it transforms quietly and silently to make the lives of people better. How do you put a tablet in the hand of an ASHA worker? How do we ensure that we have the lab value of a test, not by the nurse making 5 phone calls, but because the machine can message directly into the mobile phone of the resident doctor or even the doctor, and you can directly give the medication much faster, so you save minutes and lives. What are we doing in robotic surgery? How can 5G change the way we are transmitting telemedicine, reports, diagnostic, EICU from rural India into advanced hospitals, so that the critical care specialist shortage is actually circumvented because expertise is available everywhere. And finally, I think that whether you're using technology, artificial intelligence, genomics, precision medicine, and all the tremendous science which is emerging, ultimately, if it revolves around the patient, if it connects the doctor better, and if it can use the collective knowledge of millions of doctors to make the right information, care pathway, data point, curative methodology available at the point when they're making the decision in front of the patient. Whether it's artificial intelligence or telemedicine, call it whatever it is transformation, it is life-touching, it is life-saving, and that's what we're all here about. Having said that, some quick data points. Dr. Ati, very inspired by the NGO, let me share what we've been doing. And AAPI will be very happy to hear this because AAPI has been a part of this journey, and you've done multiple preventive care workshops in this village, but we started in a small village called Aragonda, approximately 7,000 people. Miru, you come from there, very happy to see that. But when Bill Clinton visited High Tech City, 2 buildings away from here, he pressed a button which connected Aragonda with the hospital in Apollo Chennai and Apollo Hyderabad. That was the beginning of telemedicine in India, which is almost 22 years ago now. And Clinton said at that time that I wish this could happen all over the world. Then the benefits of high technology medicine can be available to everybody. And that was really the beginning. Today we have completed over 27 million teleconsults. We have over 72,000 telemedicine connections. We have 15 million people on our healthcare app doing teleconsults whenever they want to, but also e-commerce, and multiple AI protocols, the cardiovascular risk scoring in partnership with Microsoft being one of the most significant ones, which can help predict the onset of a cardiac incident far before it happens. One of the sources of the data and this learning was not only de-identified records of Apollo patients, but Aragonda, where Dr. Reddy, our chairman, actually trained in Mass General, very close to Framingham, the small village or the Framingham study, which forms the basis of so much of the scientific studies. He said we need an India Framingham. So in Aragonda, we began to collect data in the WHO STEPS methodology, do preventive screening, ensure that all the primary determinants of healthcare, clean drinking water, sanitation, nutrition, safe delivery, were taken care of first for these 7,000. Today, our cohort is about 68,000 in the entire Tavanampalli village or the district of Tavanampalli. I'm very happy to share that over the last 14 years, we now have among the lowest infant and mortality rate in the country. And this has been recognized by the government of India because of the nutrition, the screening, the tetanus shots, the counseling, and the institutional delivery. We have a lower instance of cardiac and onco instance, but more importantly, we pick up our oncology in stage 1 and stage 2 because of the routine screening. All our geriatric population has had their cataract surgeries, and all our women have had either the HPV or are having the cervical cancer screening. So it's a series of preventive care. Our diabetic patients are under care or with the mobile vans. Their diabetes is under control, and the hypertensive have a medication compliance of over 98%. Taking this thing one step further, we're now working with, we have 27 yoga instructors who are going across these villages and doing rural yoga camps, meditation, proactive healthcare. We're also working on women's empowerment through income generation, because money that goes into the woman's hand goes into the education of the child and the nutrition of the home. So there is a great satisfaction in helping transform rural India. So anyone who wants data points on the model, sharing of how we're doing, visit to Aragonda, village camps that you want to do, any of these things, we are more than happy to partner in any way that you want. Taking this to another level, because we as an institution can do only a small cohort, but we knew that there's something powerful in prevention and primary care. So we put together all the technology that we had and we knew, from telemedicine to primary healthcare to CDSS. All of you use clinical decision support system in the US quite easily. But can you believe that a government doctor with over 25 years of working in the government system in a primary healthcare center, 270 primary healthcare centers across the government system are being managed on a not-for-profit basis by us, in the Andhra Pradesh cohort, when it took it over, we used to have an average footfall of 7 patients per day to the primary healthcare center. 6 years later, our average per day is 57 patients. Of course, during COVID, it went much higher, then lower, but the average is 57. But the better news is that these primary healthcare centers are then connected to the district headquarter hospital, so that we are keeping a correlation between primary, secondary, and tertiary care, and using the continuum of care to minimize the incidence of advanced medical ailments. So this is, another step forward. I'll just give 2 more data points before I wrap. And this one is that the geography of India, the socioeconomic profile of India, and the medical capability of India is vastly varying. It has often been described as islands of excellence in an ocean of inadequacy. And so we've had the pleasure and the privilege to connect with inaccessible areas like Kaza and Kailong, which for 2 months of the year are completely snowed under. We do e-emergency and tele-emergency over there. We work in the Northeast, we work with tribal districts across other areas, and we are a support system for many of the, we used to be, now the military has taken it over, but we put telemedicine into some of the military inaccessible areas. So these are capabilities where we need a lot more to be done. 60,000 what they call common service centers, because the technology and the machine existed, but there was no healthcare service. So we worked with the IT ministry and the health ministry to convert a CSC into a telemedicine center. So if anybody wants to give free teleconsult service, we are very happy to link it into the free CSC network and say this is of no charge because it's being done by an AAPI physician. So there are multiple models like that with very little, and I know that when we were having discussions, people spoke about, what will happen from the, I'm getting medical malpractice. What if we get sued for a teleconsult that we give? Because that's one of the things. So we actually also spoke to the insurance company. And for a small payment of 6 lakhs, we are now getting universal coverage for malpractice protection. So that kind of stumbling block has also been removed. So I'll be super happy if we can announce a methodology of coming together on teleconsults. The last piece that I want to talk about really is, and these are things which are happening, but I believe that all these in combination with manufacturing, which is happening in Vizag, which is truly fantastic. My son has a small startup coming up there. The capability of the Internet of Medical Things, the power of using our data together. I believe that a young India can help to take care of a graying world using this technology. So if all of you could help us pioneer that, and I'm doing this, I say this, not just from a save the world or serve the world perspective, not just from the perspective of creating a very powerful business opportunity for whoever wants to be there, but to answer one of India's biggest problems, and that is the problem of unemployment. We can retrain our teams, our youth, to address the 22 million global shortage of healthcare workers. And all of you who have been abroad, you know how much you contribute. How do we help young nurses, young technicians, young physiotherapists create global opportunities? How do we use them in India to do a telemedicine monitoring of a nursing home environment in the US? So the opportunities are many. I would just, look forward to finding support, partnership, conversations, and capabilities so that we can not only take care of our country, stay proactive and preventive about healthcare and enhance the primary healthcare network, bring cost-effective, the pharmacy industry has been powerful, the devices industry will do the same, evolve AI models and treatment modalities which are powerful, which will evolve in India, be perfected and deployed in India, but ultimately can become global best practice. And finally, find the manpower linkage so that an MBA who practices in India goes very easily anywhere in the world. An engineer from India is respected, and from Sundar Pichai to Satya Nadella, what's happening to Indian engineers and IIMs. But the Indian doctors have a very steep upward struggle, and all of you have made it. But can we find a way to do global certification? And you know what? We started the first one. So there's a team of young doctors being trained. They do 2 years in Australia, 1 year or 7 months at Apollo Hospital, Hyderabad, and 2 years in Texas. And they get a global medical degree. Is this the beginning? The beginning of a new level of globalization with no deteriorations in standards and quality. We should always stand for the best, but we can do so much more. So I think the opportunities are amazing. I want to really congratulate every single one of you, because I know everybody sitting here has a story of success, a power, a passion to contribute. Let's find a way that 2022 becomes the year that we do more and we get more power because we do it together. Thank you all very much, and namaste.
Thank you so much, Ms. Reddy. So it's been a great honor, and let's go back to our lineup of speakers. Give me 1 second. Dr. Nias Mohammed is again chairman of AEC Group and been in medical education for a while. So let me explain.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a great honor to be part of this wonderful event. I would like to extend my gratitude to Dr. Sangeeta, Dr. Chali for inviting me for this event, and all the dignitaries in the dais, friends. I won't extend my speech too long because I think we have crossed the time. I just want to put some things into perspective. Like being a doctor, see, being in India, we have been taught PSM in our curriculum. But medical students don't take PSM as a major subject. They usually ignore it, thinking that this is something related with the rural population. I've been to many of the countries, I've seen the system, and most of the countries, they don't give much of an emphasis into the preventive system of medicine, whereas in India, we have that system. So the more important is that the system should be implemented into the students and made them aware that prevention is better than cure. And my second point, India being a vast country, we have very good infrastructure like the CSCs, PHCs, but it's not being utilized to the optimum. So whereby we always blame that it is the government's job to take these things to the higher level. Whereas when we can contribute private and government partnership, if individuals can take up these things by taking the rural population and the prevention methods, I think that will be a wonderful option for the betterment of prevention. And number 3 is like now in this digital world, everybody is having a smartphone. So I would like to suggest, like being doctors, we can create some kind of direct relation with the people by sending them short video message, like we all get a lot of medical information, something related to prevention, something related to cure, which might be true, which might be wrong. But if there is a forum whereby short video messages can be directly sent to the people and made them aware, that's going to create a wonderful difference. That's my opinion. And I would like to stop my speech. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nias Mohammed. Dr. Murthy Gokula. He's a CEO and founder of Global Teleclinics, I believe a fellow American from Ohio. Global Teleclinics revolutionizes the healthcare industry by moving the discussion away from sick care. I agree with you 100% over there. They're about to disrupt the healthcare industry through a holistic lifestyle care approach by changing the lifestyle and habits of individuals and families through 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. Dr. Gokula.
Good evening, everybody. I'll be very brief and crisp.
I think I feel like very privileged and honored. I think my moksha is done today, sitting beside Sangeeta Reddy and all the august body here, and all the august people in front of me, audience, and there are brains and beauty also here on the floor. So my job of trying to create global teleclinics, I've been doing telemedicine for 10 years, and people in US thought I was a nut. I wrote a huge grant trying to see how older adults can stay home, blending medicine and technology. And then the grant kind of went south. The university didn't like it. So I was in academics all my life. I was the program director for geriatrics fellowship. And then something that I was missing is trying to disrupt primary care in rural area. And 2016, I resigned. I started Concierge Connected Care. So it's a membership model that I have. So I started doing geriatric concierge connected care. 2 years ago, I learned about lifestyle medicine. The 6 pillars are exercise, nutrition, stress management, sleep, addictions, and social relationships. One of the requirements is you go to an in-person CME. So I looked at it and I thought, let me go to Harvard. So I went to Harvard for a CME, and the evidence that they have presented over there just blew my mind. And I said, I'm done. This is going to be a paradigm shift that I'm not going to do disease management too much, but I'm going to do disease reversal. I'm not going to do health care. I'm not going to do sick care, but I'll do health care. For having done geriatrics for 28 years, that's how global teleclinics, blending medicine and technology. Believe in health screening. And during COVID, we were offered a corporate health program, 250 odd patients we served through telemedicine. My admission rate was only 4%. And we did a lot of clinics around. I always believe in publish or perish. And once you do, the only way I've been working with a lot of public and private partnerships, CSR funding, through a machine called HealthCube from Delhi over the last 6 years. And what I believe in is an end-to-end program management. And data is power, as Dr. Shah said, and I believe in that. And how do you actually take that data and measure and then create consequent action? And the way I wanted to do it with rural India is to do a hybrid model wherein you do in-person consultation and teleconsultation, a similar replicative model in US. But we created a lot of lifestyle approach to COVID care. I'm sure there are a lot of data that's published that people who were less obese, people who had less comorbid conditions had less COVID and really conquered that well. And I always believe that corporate people are the ones that are really changing the landscape of health in the urban sector. So I wanted to kind of take that as one vertical, and then I wanted to do my family health and then personal health. And the whole focus is all about lifestyle disease reversal. I'm really not interested, and one of my colleagues was saying here about the cardiovascular disease. Dean Ornish actually presented and published in JAMA probably 15 years ago, heart disease reversal. And I'm actually doing a lot of diabetes reversal in US, and I want to bring that all management to India. So I'm not interested in disease management. I'm sorry you all are talking about disease management. I want to talk about disease reversal. That's the paradigm shift, and that's where technology can come together. And I use an app, and my patients communicate. I do disease reversal programs through app. So I started building a platform here similar to US, and I hope. And my first guess, I always joke around that I may not be a rich doctor, but I'm rich at heart through heartfulness. That's the spiritual practice I practice. And I want to thank Anupama and Dr. Chalil to even think that I was worthy enough to stand here, which I don't think in my mind that I'm worthy enough to stand here and speak to all these people who are so accomplished. But I have a goal. The first year goal is to create 75 villages screening, health report, feasibility study, and then a social entrepreneurship investment model. And Anupama liked that idea, and she was gracious enough to present it to AAPI, and they approved it. We already did 30 villages, and 16 villages have been done. And we are proud to announce that the disease burden that has been enormous, the amount of diabetes in the rural areas, the amount of chronic kidney disease, anemia, and then the whole goal is to actually adopt this positive people in these respective villages and create a primary healthcare delivery model. And it's a comprehensive approach. And I think when the good Lord decides, everything happens. So 2 of the doctors from AAPI, they called me up from Nellore and then Anantapur. They said, I'm going to sponsor you for 1 year. Come up with a budget and give me the budget and it's done. So I'm going to provide primary care for this 1 year. And it'll be a hybrid model where we'll employ MBBS doctors to go to the village every 3 months, talk to all these people, give the medications too. They'll just not just get the part. We'll actually do disease management first. And then we will actually try to do annual health screening. As I said, the health screening, which is very important, I think once an annual checkup, and then every 3 months. And then in between, they'll have telemedicine to talk. And AAPI has taken up, and now AAPI is sponsoring. We identified village champion. We picked up the top 5 diseases. And I'm more interested in the pre-disease, which is the pre-diabetes, which is very critical. I get a lifestyle patient history. Oh, sorry. And then, oopsie. Okay, I can do this extempore. So now what I'm doing is the disease management in the first 6 months. And after that, I'll do disease reversal with the same villagers and identify the common health problems that are like alcohol. I just was talking to the Anantapur people of alcohol and nutrition. So I agree with Dr. Guru Reddy that India has a lot of innovation and a lot of promise and a lot of hope and future. And that's what innovation is all about. I don't believe in digital transformation. I believe in digital innovation, because jugaad of what happens in India doesn't happen anywhere in the world. And that's where the opportunity lies. So I invite you all to join me. And all my goal is, before I die, I have to just transform the rural healthcare in the primary care. And I think I got my moksha by starting the journey. Thank you for the opportunity.
Let me invite Dr. Venkat. Dr. Venkat Ramana Sudigali is the founder director of Excel Multi-Specialty Hospital in Hyderabad and the CEO of ehaconsortium.org. He's a clinical lead and head of business UK teleradiology group and a public health, AI health tech BD strategy advisor and the first ever ambassador of UK Royal College of Radiologists. Dr. Venkat.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Anupama, Dr. Joseph, and Dr. Sujit for inviting me to this wonderful conference. Wonderful to listen, and it's a privilege, and I'm humbled to be alongside all of you. It's really great to hear each and every story that's coming up through this panel. A little bit of story from my side. So I'm a graduate of Hyderabad. I graduated in Osmania. I went to the UK and trained in clinical radiology. So I'm a radiologist. I'm also a consultant and a clinical lead for a UK radiology firm. So I do reporting, tele-reporting, what we call as. But frankly speaking, radiology has taught me a lot about primary care. And it's not a single day passes through where I do not think that why I'm not able to control or prevent or diagnose early on diseases. And as an example, I'll take the example of one small disease, which is actually a major burden in India, which is TB. And when we were medical students back in the 90s, TB was a major burden. And after almost 25 years, nothing much has really changed. National TB program has been going on since 60 years. And there has been an article just a couple of months ago, I don't know how many I've read, in a major pulmonology journal, that essentially TB is still a major problem in spite of the National TB Health Program. And I really want all of us to think really what is the thing that we can all do and act here. And I completely agree with Dr. Guru Reddy when he said it's very optimistic that the healthcare is projecting for the future. We Indians are really global citizens. This forum itself is an example. There are brilliant people all over the world, right from the top-notch orthopedic surgeons, cardiac surgeons, etc. So can we really sit down together and execute a plan? And one of the plan which is coming up right now is the task force. And I really appreciate what we're going to do for the future. So really wish to contribute in those sector. So coming to the organization which I'm a CEO for, which is Equitable Healthcare Access Consortium. So this is EHAC. So this is a consortium formed about 3-4 years ago by the top hospitals of India, about 15 to 20 organizations. It's healthcare organizations, research institutions, including LV Prasad, so Dr. G.N. Rao, who was supposed to be here actually today. Then ISB Healthcare, IIM Udaipur, then we have Arvind Eye Care, BHS in Rajasthan, which is doing tremendous work in primary care in rural Rajasthan. So many of these organizations have come together to really provide this simple thing, which is equitable access of healthcare to every citizen of India. So the wonderful thing about India is we've got cutting edge technology, which is the world's best. We've got the 3 Tesla MRI, which is just a few miles from here. But at the same time, there's a disparity which is never ending and never seems to be growing less and less. So this is always increasing. The difference between the rich and poor, the difference between the accessibility of quality healthcare between the elite urban population and the not so elite rural population. So that's the thing which I want to really come across in this forum, whether we can really sit down and do something about this. And please, I welcome all of you, the eminent doctors and surgeons and physicians, to join hands. Anything that you want to contribute to this wonderful organization is very welcome. The way we do is numerous ways. We try to change the mindset, which is the most difficult thing. You know, if we all sit down and really think about 2 minutes how we can provide equitable access healthcare to all of the nation, we can really think about a few good things. So changing the mindset is the most difficult thing, but at the same time, most effective, in my opinion. One more small example which I want to give you is we use a lot of technology in healthcare, and I myself am a consultant to several artificial intelligence firms. And recently, I personally went to the healthcare secretary of Punjab and presented that we can use AI technology to diagnose TB early on. Instead of the patient waiting for a report 3-4 weeks, and by chance if he's open TB, he's spreading the TB for 3-4 weeks in those community. And perhaps that's one of the reason why we are not able to get down the incidence of tuberculosis. So with AI, you have an instant diagnosis, and that patient can be on the spot treated, counseled, and try to prevent the spread of the disease. So that's just one example of what we do in the organization. So I just want to leave the forum just by one thought is we all have ideas, we all have brilliant ideas, we're all brilliant guys in this forum, but execution is probably the only thing which matters. So it's a good thing that we are discussing it, but we need to have a plan regarding how we can execute all the good things that we are discussing. So I'll just leave you with that thought. So thank you very much, and please let us all get together and do something good for the nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Venkat. Let me invite Mr. Narayana Rao to give a few slides.
To all the dignitaries on the dais and to all the audience, a very good evening to all of you. I am Narayan Rao. I am the founder of Salsit Technologies Private Limited, which is a startup based in Hyderabad. So I started the journey as an external advisor for a project sponsored by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, acoustic signal analysis for healthcare. So the researchers have come up with some ideas on how the heart sounds or the chest sounds can be used using artificial intelligence and machine learning to identify any abnormalities early in the disease stage. So we also came across some interesting papers, cough from lab to clinic, objective assessment of cough. Having known that there is a lot of work happened on the heart signals and also on the lung signals, we actually narrowed down our focus to cough analysis. So essentially these papers did talk about the vital information the cough signal carries about the respiratory system. So we then did approach Nizam Institute of Medical Sciences, where we collected cough sound recordings of people who are having different respiratory disorders like asthma, COPD, interstitial lung disease, and so on. And we could identify that there is unique pattern among these different respiratory conditions. And then I also had an opportunity to interact with Dr. Anant Krishnan, who is the head of Center for Community Medicine at All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So he said, screening for respiratory diseases is an unmet need. It is not possible to really set up pulmonary function test at a primary care level because of the expertise needed and also the laboratory facilities. So that's where he said, any technology or a tool which can help in identifying whether the problem is attributed to the airways or to the lung parenchyma, it will be highly beneficial for the next intervention. So that's how we started our journey further on this. And then we actually got excellent support from Government of India, a Department of Biotechnology, a Ministry of Electronics and Information, in really developing the product. Essentially, Swasa is the name of the product, which uses a combination of St. George Respiratory Questionnaire and also the cough sound to identify whether there is any underlying respiratory problem. If there is it more related to the obstruction in the airways or is it more related to the lung expansion? Essentially, we provide an output which is very functionally equivalent to what a spirometry does. And we are also in the process of adding more functionality in terms of detecting likely presence of conditions like pulmonary tuberculosis and COVID. So we actually completed our first validation at Apollo Research and Innovation. And then we recently completed one validation at Andhra Medical College. And currently, All India Institute of Sciences at their Ballabgarh Primary Health Center is doing a pilot deployment of our technology. And similarly, Rural Health Center at Simhachalam, Andhra, Visakhapatnam is also doing a deployment. And I'm very proud to say Apollo 24/7 was our first customer. And we are actually rolling out Swasa into MFine, which is actually also a telehealth platform, which all of us are familiar. So we are further doing some more validations at Christian Medical College, Vellore as well. We have secured IP and we have publications about the technology, what I'm talking about. So we come under software as a medical device category. We are ISO 13485 certified, and also we are HIPAA compliant and ISO 27001 compliant from the security and privacy standpoint. So our USP really lies in detecting the cough signature, which the mission has learned based on the data which we have collected. So let me give a couple of examples. When the airways gets narrowed, the way cough expulsion happens, it has a certain characteristic. Versus when there is an increased oxygen demand, when that time the cough comes out, it has certain characteristic. So essentially, be it the strong cough or the weak cough, or the cough with pauses, or the duration of the expulsion, this is the kind of information we try to decode by recording the cough just by using the smartphone. So coming to the actual theme of the discussion, I'm very happy for Dr. Anupama for giving us this opportunity. And the request from our side is SWASA as part of AAPI prevention healthcare screening, if you can consider, we will be very happy. And we did interact with many doctors. Definitely we will be reaching out to them. This is a new technology. We want your feedback and we want you to participate in some of the beta programs which we are going to do and help us in doing a lot more clinical validations and really making sure that this technology works, because this has capability to really reach out the volumes. It can scale. We can actually do 5 million assessments a day. So just to conclude, Dr. Michael Mina, who is actually an assistant professor of epidemiology at Harvard School of Public Health, he did talk about how important the repetitive testing and that to test self-assessments being done at home by patients, basically by the individuals. Basically what he says is that even though the accuracy may not be as good as the existing mechanisms like spirometry and all, but if you do repetitive testing, it will really help in identifying the hotspots, which essentially help in even preventing transmissions for diseases like COVID-19. So this is the power of the technology. We can really scale. It is available. Anybody can do it. Anywhere it can be done. And the information can be made available to the physician anywhere. Thank you very much once again for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. I know we are, running behind by 40 minutes or so. But let me invite Mr. Ravi Gopalan, who is the CEO of Argisoft. Mr. Gopalan, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm privileged to be here today amongst all of you. Special thanks to Dr. Anupama and Dr. Joseph. I'm going to very quickly share, this is a totally practitioner's approach, not from a medical faculty, but purely from a technology intervention. And I'm going to quickly talk about an intervention that has happened here in India, where we talk about the primary health care, exactly where the tire touches the ground. There has been the National Health Mission in India, and there has been a tremendous amount of progress. Dr. Reddy was very kind enough to mention the advances that have happened in terms of all the practices, and also in terms of the protocols that have been put in place. But when it comes to its implementation, because of the numbers, the sheer numbers, the situation takes a very different color. And when we talk of these field level health workers out there in the field, the health workers in the field, the ASHAs, the ANMs, the multipurpose health workers, who go out there and who are supposed to actually deliver these services at the doorstep of the people as part of the National Health Mission, it becomes a humongous challenge, practically sort of impossible for people to do. For example, when a field level health worker goes out to the field, in the case of mother and child health itself, an ANM or an ASHA has to carry 4 registers. Is supposed to go door to door delivering services. And the number of fields, number of columns in the registers is unimaginable. A number as high as one of the registers has about 90 columns of data. Each visit, somebody's taking down those notes, which practically was kind of very difficult, and nobody ever did that. So in the state of Gujarat, we built this application which brought the power in the hands of the field level health workers, purely from the perspective of implementing these health schemes and delivering these schemes to the people. And this has been a labor of love for about now nearly 12, 13 years. It's taken a huge amount of time. Of course, went through cycles of clinical trials, went through cycles of studies, a randomized controlled trial. And finally, in 2017, after a WHO trial, this actually was ready for rollout in the state of Gujarat. It took 2 years because what started as a mother and child health intervention extended to areas of non-communicable diseases, blindness control, early detection of neurological disorders, nutrition, adolescent health, anemia. So all aspects were being brought under this platform, which is now evolved as, from a technology perspective, what we call as a comprehensive public health management platform, which is entirely configurable in its current avatar. It's already seen, this is the 4th avatar in these 13 years. And the entire state of Gujarat, this is the first pan-state solution, which has actually been rolled out, is working. And as we speak today, there are about 65 million beneficiaries, practically the entire population of Gujarat, which is there on the system. And it records about over 1.5 million service deliveries every week. It's in the hand of every A&M and a large number of ASHAs and multi-purpose health workers out there. So in terms of the impact that it has had from a service delivery perspective, is something which, I'm sure it is a contributor, because the state of Gujarat in the year 1718 was from the Niti Aayog has these ranking in terms of the SDGs. The SDG 3, Gujarat was somewhere at number 18. The subsequent year, this was 1920, it came to the rank of number 8. And in 2021, it became the number 1 state as far as SDG 3 is concerned. And April 1st, 2019 is when this was actually rolled out completely across the state. In Gujarat, for the purposes of maternal and child health, initially that time went completely paperless. And that system continues to operate. So when we talk of universal health coverage, when we talk of reaching quality health care all around, to the people, right there, to every citizen over there, right at their doorstep. So we are talking about, quality healthcare, promotion, prevention, and then treatment. And promotion and prevention, the health and wellness concept, I think has to be initiated with each and every citizen. Each and every citizen has to be prompted, has to be made aware of, has to be encouraged to actually think on those lines of health and wellness and make this access to quality services, which otherwise would get lost in a pre-digitization format, the pre-digital intervention format. The field level health worker would lose so many people to follow-ups because would have no idea who the person has to go look up and take care of. But with the system in place, they don't have to worry about who they have to look up, who they have to go and visit, and what do they have to do there, because the system takes care of that. Building triaging into that brought in an element of value in terms of being able to detect early conditions, and which could be then, we had a simple system of highlighting them as a red, green, and a yellow, where the reds would actually stand up before a medical officer at a PHC, and the PHC medical officer knows exactly who has to be paid attention to at any point of time. And then building a system like this provides accurate and authentic data. Otherwise, accuracy and authenticity of data is always compromised. And when we get authentic and accurate data, I think that leads to better planning and better strategy in terms of how do you actually come out and intervene at the ground level. I think that's the little practitioner's approach that I just wanted to share. And I think, as Dr. Joseph said, we've already run out of time, exceeded time. And I think important thing would be to have the floor open for a discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I know we are behind schedule, but so we would take all your points to heart, and we have an action item which we will discuss. Again, we want to, as part of AAPI's request, a public appeal to the Government of India, to the Prime Minister of India. And if you have agreement with this proposal, I will send you a draft of this letter after this event. So I want you to review it. If you agree with it, I would love to have AAPI President's name on it, AAPI BOT name on it, and each of yours name behind the letter. And we will reach out to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and to Health Minister's office, requesting, something like our US Preventive Task Force, which have been helping, creating guidelines. India needs something to start. So we would make that happen. If you are okay with it, we will definitely send you a draft. In the next few days, we will work out a final letter, which we'll send to the Prime Minister's office. Let me invite Preeti Upala. I have a different role as well as the chairman of the Indo-American Press Club in the US. I run a publication along with Ajay Ghosh in the US, a newspaper. So again, creating awareness in the media is also significant for us to create a responsible preventive healthcare system in India. I've met Preeti in several TV channels as a host in CNN and other ones. So Preeti, if you could invite our guest to be honored.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chalil, for that amazing opportunity. And guys, what an amazing forum. Please give yourselves a huge round of applause. I think everybody was very illuminated. And it's my great pleasure to invite all the guests so we can just give you a small token of appreciation. So I'd love to call out the names. I would start with very illuminating and eminent discussion that we had from Dr. Sangeeta Reddy. And next, I would like to call out Dr. Juby A. Jacob Nara. And now, I would like to call upon Dr. Anuj Maheshwari. Next, I would like to call on the stage Dr. Gaurava Reddy. Next, I would like to call on Dr. Vikas Bhatia. Next, Mr. Gaurav Agarwal. Next, we would like to call upon Mr. Shekhar Satiraju. I would now like to call upon Dr. Aarti Shah. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Niaz Muhammad. Next, we would like to call upon Dr. Murthy Gokula. We would now like to call upon Dr. Venkat Ramana Sudigali. I would now like to call upon Mr. Narayana Rao Shripada. We would now like to call upon Mr. Ravi Gopalan. And last but not least, we would like to call upon Professor Joseph M. Shalil. Please give yourselves a big hand. Thank you, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a very, very successful CEO forum. Thank you for your patience and your attendance. Please do stay. We have dinner, entertainment. We have a whole evening lined up for you. So please stick around and we will hope you enjoy the evening. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please do stay back in the hall because dinner is being served here. So no need to go out and come back, just stay here. We have wonderful food and entertainment for you, and they will be served very shortly. So please stay in the hall. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.